Please don't hear any of this, Brad.
All right, we ready? You hitting it? Tell me when we're rolling. No, we've been rolling. God damn.
We're Googling over here.
All right.
To nerd sports now, people.
Exactly.
Look out. Do you fear death?
Oh, one of the greatest lines of all time.
I've got a job to it. I've got a job to it.
Kind of like whistles at her, and Dad looks over and the guy's going. And Dad's like, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, oh man, you didn't partake? I thought that was part of the mountain biking community, that y'all just went out there and had sex together in your tight shorts. But
Angrily making me 30 sides of red sauce. He just hangs it back up.
So that's what I was doing wrong the first time.
That's what you were doing wrong.
Big Pharma's turning the frogs gay, and it's coming after your kids.
And they're going to make them incredibly happy.
Infowars.com.
Listened so much. Are you... This is actually episode 12.
Episode 12.
Episode 12. Who are you, sir?
All right. I'm Audie.
Audie.
Overton. Yes,
my
sir.
cousin's husband. What's that make you to me?
What's that?
Cousin-in-law?
I think so.
Something like that?
Or just
Welcome,
cousins.
sir.
Or just cuz.
Just cuz.
Cuzzo.
Welcome. We were talking about The Acolyte. So have you watched any of it? You said you hadn't even seen a trailer, so
No,
probably
sir.
not.
No, sir. No,
Yeah.
no. Nope.
I've got friends on both sides of the aisle, so like there's people who I know that love it and think it's great, and then there's people
Really?
who just
Really?
shit on it.
Okay.
And so I care so little about Star Wars now. Like I'm just completely checked out. Like even if it's good, I don't give a shit.
So I was never super into it, you know.
What year were
obviously
you born?
90.
Yeah, so you didn't really grow up with the
No,
originals and all that shit.
No, I didn't grow up with it. But I mean, I always enjoyed the movies, and I think the Phantom that was the first, or that was like the fourth movie or whatever.
Yeah.
The first like new one.
Yeah.
That came out.
So you'd have been like
I
10.
I loved that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
you'd have been little.
Yeah, with Anakin and the little pod
Yeah.
race and stuff. I love that. And then the next two, I could get those easily.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's more of a Lord of the Rings guy.
Yeah, dude. Lord of the Rings. Did you saw they went in theaters last weekend?
No.
Yeah, they had all 3 extended editions in theaters last weekend.
Oh, nice.
It was like, that's a really cool idea, but like, who's got time for 12 hours in a movie theater? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it took us like probably 3 weeks to get through the extended editions.
Man, I remember the first time I watched an extended edition.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, oh, where was all this stuff? You
I
what
know.
mean? And then I read the books afterwards.
So you have read the books?
Yes.
So I had read the books first, and I thought they did a great job with the the theatrical version.
Okay.
So I was like,
yeah.
that's fair. That's a good balance of, you know, they cut some stuff out and everything, but then when I saw the extended editions, it just blew my mind because all the stuff that they added back in was straight from the book.
Right.
You know, it's just
Yeah.
And if you consider the extended editions, I think it's one of the greatest adaptations ever made.
Yeah. With some of the stuff with the Tom Bombadil that they, you know, that was totally left out of the original.
Yeah, but that's fine because it doesn't really advance the story much.
Sure, it does. Yeah.
And it really
You're right.
like my middle one, Walter, like he couldn't even get through the Bombadil shit because it's really slow. It's really boring. He's always singing his fucking ass off about some weird
Who
shit.
is that guy? Yeah, he literally has nothing to do with the
Nothing to
plot.
do with it. And if you read the Silmarillion, like he's a Maiar, so he's basically a god,
Right,
but still
yeah.
on the planet. And then they took the Old Man Willow scene from the Bombadil chapters and then moved it to, I think, the Two Towers,
Right.
where Merry and Pippin are
Yes.
drinking from.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they still
exactly.
got that
yeah,
scene.
they were drinking. Where
it's made them grow.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm gonna hit this fucking thing. Yeah, no, I think he did a fantastic. What do you think of the Hobbit movies?
I wish they would have done that with the first 3 movies. You know, like the first 3 movies they did like one movie per book.
Yeah.
And then the Hobbit they did 3 movies out of the one. I'm like, I wish
3 movies for a book that's shorter than all of the Lord of the Rings books.
Exactly. That's the only way.
Which
That's the only way you can get it all in.
I've gotten to a point where I can enjoy them for what they are now, but it kind of pissed me off for a long time that they just added to Tolkien.
Same.
Like they just added all this shit. The thing that pissed me off the most was the dwarf and elf love story. Like they just see each other and fall in love while he's in prison. I felt like it really cheapened the Gimli and Legolas thing
no,
because
I really didn't
those
like
two
that.
hated each other so much in Fellowship of the
Yeah.
Ring, and then by the end of Return of the King, they're like best friends.
Right.
But they earned
Exactly
that respect in battle, and then
You got to see it develop.
Yeah, you got to see it develop. So when they did that, it was just like, okay, so now they're all just.
Yeah,
it's
because
just-
they kind of glossed over like the deep resentment that those two,
Well, it would be equivalent to Israel and Palestine. Right? Like you have a Palestinian and a Jew on a quest. They hate each other, and then through the course of
they walk past each other to protest and just kind of catch up.
Right?
Everything goes out the window.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I would, because they had years and years of hatred, and it all goes back to like in the Silmarillion, I can't remember which king it was, but he had these jewels made, and the dwarves basically made it for him, and then went and attacked him and killed him and stole them. And that's kind of what started all that.
Yeah.
Have you read the Silmarillion?
No, I haven't.
It was a tough read. It took me like 20 years to finally
I've
get through
started
it.
it a couple times, and now I just go down like rabbit holes. And Mariah gives me so much crap for this, but just like I'm a sucker for backstory. I want to know. I want to know where did all this come from? Like how did they get up here? And there's actually a lot of that provided in the
it's actually really, really good. I started it like 4 or 5 times and couldn't finish it. So the way I did it was he has several posthumous novels like Children of Hurin, Beren and Luthien,
I love that story.
Fall of Gondolin. So I went and read those as kind of novels, and then the Silmarillion has kind of truncated versions of those.
Okay.
So it's basically an outline.
Yeah.
And then he was going through and fleshing some of that stuff out. But I did finally get through it. I'm really glad, because I think it really translates to something that happened with Earth's history. Have you seen Billy Carson? So he was on Andrew Schultz's podcast like a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And he was talking about how, and he could be full of shit. He was on Rogan last week, so that'd be a good place to start.
Okay. All right.
It's a black dude who specializes in like ancient cultures, but basically he's talking about these Sumerian tablets, which are like the oldest form of written. It's all in like cuneiform, and so he's learned to read this stuff, and you can read them in libraries. But essentially, what he is stating is that there was some form of life here, some kind of humanoids, very primitive. And there was this galactic war in another part of the galaxy, and like the rich elites fled in their ships and landed here, and they're referred to as the Anunnaki.
I was just gonna say that, but I don't want to sound like an idiot.
So they come here. They're much larger. So when you hear these,
I've seen some of the hieroglyphs or whatever. Of these
where
guys.
there's these larger beings.
They got the big long beards and
But they're also represented in some of these, like Egyptian kings look larger,
right?
And people just assume that because they were king, they were represented as larger. Well, now there's a lot of the problem is it's hard to fact check because you don't read Sumerian tablet, right? And it's hard to find. But even if he's full of shit, it's some of the coolest sci-fi I've ever heard. So basically, what happened is these Anunnaki. There weren't a lot of them, so they kind of set up shop on different continents and then presented themselves to the beings as gods. And so that's kind of where the whole thing in the Bible, like where you have to sacrifice your best goat or your best crop, was these gods didn't want to go out and work, so they just told the people, hey, bring us all your good shit. So they had to come and sacrifice it to these Anunnaki, who basically ruled over these beings, and then eventually started cloning. I guess they couldn't necessarily interbreed, so they were making clones of themselves and doing some kind of like DNA manipulation to where they could essentially breed these people to be a slave class for them, and that the Garden of Eden was actually a laboratory, like breeding ground. And in the Bible, when Cain kills Abel, he's worried about God casting him out, and he says, if you cast me out, those people out there will kill me. So even in the Bible, they reference people outside the garden. So the thought is that this was just breeding ground. Yeah, dude, you would eat this shit.
Yeah, no, don't.
Yeah, check out. So the one on Andrew Schultz, if you like Schultz, is a good one. That's where I first saw him. And Andrew Schultz says right at the beginning, like, we're not going to fact check any of this shit. We're just going to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But check out that one. He's been on Danica Patrick's show. And he was just on Rogan last week. I don't think they covered anything that Schultz didn't cover, but it's wild, and he gets into a lot of other stuff, and a lot of like talking about how even present day stuff like technology, because he's deep into the science journals. He claims that both American and Chinese governments have been able to essentially teleport, like Star Trek teleport molecules from continent to continent, but it's not a direct teleportation.
Sure.
Basically it destroys it and then reassembles it somewhere else. So like if you did it to a person, you ever seen the movie The Prestige?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know how
yeah.
he copies himself,
Right,
and then he kills the other one.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's kind of a thing like that's a fucked up movie.
Right.
Underrated.
Dude, it is. I always get that one confused. That there was like another one that
The
came
Illusionist.
out about the Illusionist. They used to do that. It took me a while to figure that out, and I was like, okay, that a big movie would come out, and then like another one would come out like around the same time as basically the exact same premise.
Yeah.
Like just to.
The Illusionist, I don't remember. That was Ed Norton, wasn't it? If I recall, I don't remember it being that great. But it also came out after. I saw it after Prestige. I don't know which order they came out, but
Okay, yeah, man, I get them interchanged, but I know one of them it was a twin brother the whole time.
yeah, that was the Prestige.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Yeah, Christopher Nolan, or
yeah.
not Christopher Nolan. Who's the actor? Batman.
Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Yeah, it ended up being a twin brother, but it drove the other dude insane trying to figure out the trick.
Oh my gosh. And then the weird thing with the wife, she's like, sometimes you're nice to me and other times you're mean.
Yeah, like he tells her he loves her, and she's like, "You mean it today?" Like, because it was a different fucking dude. But they were so
he does.
Yeah, they were so engaged to the trick that like they lived each other's lives.
Yeah. Man, the magic stuff is pretty cool to me. That there's like a whole like group of people that just like don't reveal their
Oh yeah,
keep their secret, like,
they're
they
hardcore
don't play
about it.
around with that, so you guard those secrets with your life, but yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, but I mean, I get it. It's your livelihood,
Right.
You know.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So that's probably, I think, Christopher Nolan's most underrated movie. Trying to think of what else he's done, but like he gets a lot of. Did you like Tenet?
Never saw Tenet.
You did you not?
No.
I was not a fan.
No.
Mm-mm. It was that thing where a director finally just gets too much money and too many people saying yes to everything, and I think he just kind of went a little too much.
He didn't get enough pushback.
Yeah, I think so. Which I felt like that about George Lucas's prequels, which you were younger, you liked them, you said, but like when I was a teenager when those came out, and I was not a fan. Now I like them better than the sequels. Like I think the sequels were absolute garbage.
Well, yeah. The prequel stuff really the only I honestly get the I guess it's episode 2 and episode 3 or whatever. I get those confused because I didn't really get into the like I said, the first one that came out like with the Anakin and the whole like his little origin story or whatever, and the pod racing and all that. Like I really liked that, but then afterwards, and some people say that the acting on whoever played Anakin as he's like older was terrible. I've never felt like I'm a good judge of good or poor acting.
I think it was
that could definitely have something to do with it.
I think it was the love scenes in Attack of the Clones when him and Padme. So you already established she's 10 years older than him. Yeah. So when she meets him, he's a little boy, then she even references it in the next movie when he's older. She's like, "You'll always be that little boy I met on Tatooine." And next thing you know, they're fucking around, and it's like this makes me uneasy. Yeah. But then there was all the acting was a little wild.
More stuff I was recently just like digging into the origin story stuff. I'm like, so how was Anakin born? Like, who was his dad? What was the deal going? I'm just obsessed with.
What did you find out?
Where did it come from? So that's kind of what led me back to this stupid acolyte stuff. Was that
because that's like 1,000 years in the past or something. Like that's old Republic stuff, right?
I have no idea the where that fits into the whole narrative at all. But I just know that there's from what I read on Star Wars wiki fandom, whatever whatever rabbit hole I was going down was that originally they the midichlorians or whatever, which are like the microorganisms that are like it's like the essence of the Force or whatever. That somehow that Anakin's mom that those were manipulated to where she became pregnant. You know, like a Mary story, like a Virgin Mary.
Yeah,
deal,
yeah.
You know, like.
But there's also, I think
like
it's
there wasn't a dad, you know, and.
Well, the book Darth Plagueis, I think.
Oh, that's what I did. So that's where it led
Didn't
to.
he-
And it's like no,
Yeah.
it was like because Pala, whatever, the guy who ended up being
Palpatine?
like Darth.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
The Sith Lord or whatever.
Yeah, Palpatine, yeah.
Palpatine. That whoever his master
Yeah,
was,
Plagueis.
which was Plagueis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they
He manipulated
had
it somehow
manipulated, yeah,
in
yeah.
order to cause the birth.
Right.
Right?
Well, what it, like the Force like corrected itself or something
Yeah.
because what they intended to do was create like, you know, a badass. Or
Right,
whatever. And
right.
They kind of did, you know, but
Yeah.
they, the Force tried to like correct itself and make like a good person when they were trying to make a bad. Yeah.
Did you ever watch any of the Clone Wars show?
No.
It was solid.
Was it?
There was some filler stuff, but they had some
Yeah.
really good arcs. And it really did a good job of filling in kind of the gaps in between especially in between episode 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it when it was on. And they explored some pretty heavy topics, but then again, I mean, the sequels just really broke me. I watched The Mandalorian, and it was just okay. Like,
yeah, I like those. I watched those with the girls. The first season. We didn't jump to the second one, and I wanted to see Bill Burr in there. You know, I'm a fan of his for sure. And
oh, dude, what about comedy coming back? How you feeling about this?
dude, I'm stoked.
Did you watch the Brady roast?
Sorry,
The Tom Brady roast?
dude, that was great. Oh my gosh, I heard. I also saw a little backstory with Tony Hinchcliffe on that. I didn't watch the Tony. Man, I'm so behind on my Rogan podcast, but I saw some videos of Tony talking about that. Apparently, he wasn't supposed to go up there and say everything that he did. They were trying to keep him.
Oh, didn't he say like he kept a lot of the shit secret?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like they, like, you know, they're like, don't talk about this. Don't talk about this.
Yeah.
They want you to be very like he was sitting in the like at a table.
Yeah,
like,
with
Dana White.
with
like,
Dana
at
White,
the-
yeah.
And then he was only supposed to be like, you know, they're supposed to like bring the mic to him type of
Right.
thing, and he was supposed to have it, but then somehow he like
He just
weaseled his
maneuvered
way up
it?
there. He's like, no, and his whole like what I heard him say was like, dude, they gave me a shot on live TV. You don't
Yeah.
think I'm gonna go for it? You know, I don't care what they told me. I can't.
He
say,
killed
you
it.
know? He
killed
he
it.
did. It was so good. So
Who'd you
good.
think was the best that night?
I think him or Nikki Glazer.
Glazer killed it.
She was so good too, man. Yeah, yeah. With her thing, she was like roasting Tom about the crypto, all the money he lost. She's like, even Gronk knew that not real money.
Did
Like,
you feel
oh
like
my
when
God,
Gronk got up there, it got a little dark?
Yeah.
Like a dark energy?
Yeah.
Like he wasn't joking? Like he was pretty trashed.
Yes.
When he smashed that
the
shot glass and...
drunken word, sober thoughts kind of thing.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, uh-oh, you know, is he trying to...
And then the
I got something to
Belichick...
say, actually. Whoa, easy.
Yeah, I was uncomfortable when he was up there. A little bit.
Dude, I get that so bad. Mariah gives me crap, but like I cringe for like other people. So
Yeah.
sometimes where I can't,
Yeah.
you know, can't watch it. I struggle with Kill Tony with that a lot.
See, I have a hard time watching Kill Tony. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's so cringy sometimes.
I'm like, you know, this hurts me. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I
don't
can't
give
even
a-
watch
I don't
it.
give a shit about the guy who's bombing or getting roasted. It's just the overall. I don't do it.
I've
very
got a
well,
buddy of
you know?
mine, Steven, that loves the Kill Tony. Like, he just eats it up, but
Yeah.
I just can't. I'm too uncomfortable.
Me too, man. I watched an episode recently with Harlan Williams was on there, and
Okay.
and it was, and that's one of the better people. There was somebody not that long ago who left the show. They were like a Joe Rogan podcast guest, and then Joe brought them to Kill Tony, and I think it was a wrestler. I want to say it was like Ric Flair, or maybe Hulk Hogan, somebody like that. And they were like, "Hey man, no, be nice to, you know, that wasn't that bad, dude." You know, he like kept trying to save whoever the person who got drawn up there after, you know, everyone's roasting him, and that guy's like, no, it wasn't that bad. What are you guys doing, man? Why are you like totally obviously didn't understand the premise of the show.
Yeah. Did you see he
but
brought...
I was like, I felt for him because I'm like, that's how I feel every show. I'm like, dude, it's one thing to roast somebody who puts themselves there. They want to be there. They're begging for, they're asking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this random person who's just trying to
Yeah.
get there, like,
Well, you've had some big names come off of that show, though. Like, it's a good opportunity
For sure.
if you're talented to get in front of some people.
Yeah, I listened. The Casey Rocket guy. Have you heard?
Mm-mm.
You know anything? Man, I didn't like his. I don't really like his. This is a thing that podcast has done to me with comedians, where I feel like I get to know the comedian a little bit better than their typical. We're doing good.
Yeah, I think so. Just making sure we're not spiking, but I think we're okay.
Sure. But I feel like after listening to hours of somebody on a podcast, like not like I know them, but I feel like I
You
know
get a
them
sense-
better than their character that they play. You know?
Right,
And
right.
then whenever I try to go watch their stand up, I can't watch it. You know, like so
Really?
yeah, it's a thing that's it happened really bad with Mark Norman. Like I thought he was great, and then I watch his stand up, and I'm like,
Max and I are actually going to see him. He's coming to Walton Arts Center.
yeah, with
in November, I think.
with Burt Kreischer, right? Or,
I think it's just Normand.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think he's headlining
oh
it.
no! I know what you're talking about. The Walton Arts
The Walton
Center,
Arts-
not the
yeah.
Amp. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Burt,
Burt's
and
coming to the
that's
Amp
coming to the
pretty
Amp soon. Yeah. That'll be wild. I'm not a Burt Kreischer fan though. Like, I just can't get
I like
into
him
it.
on podcasts and stuff. You know what I mean? I think I like his, whatever, but his craft.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of his crap.
No.
But see, I do like Norman's comedy. I like his stand-up. I
Yeah.
did not, but it also might just be like, so Max and I watched his first special and just loved it. And then the second special fell really flat because it's a lot of the same shit.
Okay, the Soup to Nuts.
Soup to Nuts is the second one, right?
And
Yeah.
the Lunch was the first, something like Lunch. Or
Out to
whatever.
Lunch.
Out to Lunch.
See, I
like that
loved
one.
Out to Lunch.
Yeah, I tried to watch Soup to Nuts, and I was like,
It wasn't great.
I like it. Yeah,
I don't know if
and
it's-
and I don't think that's funny. Yeah.
What about Shane? You like Shane stuff?
Man, these like.
Is he the GOAT right now?
Yeah, I think he is.
I think he is.
And I hate this thing that happens to me. I'm like, oh, everybody else likes him now.
Yeah, I know. But
I know, but no, I
who
still
cares?
root for him for
He's
sure.
hilarious.
Yeah, big.
Did you watch Tires,
he's
though?
The best. Tire Zone. I'm like
no, it's just called Tires, but
it's not Tire Zone. Yeah.
yeah, Tires.
Yeah, on Netflix. Yeah, I think we're on the third episode. Me and Mariah are watching it.
What do you think? I'm not. We weren't huge fans. Max and I watched it. And we just
like the acting sucks. I love all the
do you-
jokes and the comedians and stuff. I'm like, but the act.
well, I think. Did you ever watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know how they do that show? It's like an out. There's no script.
Exactly.
So there's like
it's
an
a rough
outline, and then they
Yeah.
kind of improv it. I
Yeah.
feel like they're trying to do that with Tires, but it's not landing. And I feel like Shane's a way too small part of it. That
Yeah.
dude that plays the manager is just not funny to
Yeah,
me.
no, me
and the show's
neither.
mostly about him.
I know. I hate that. And part of it's because I feel like I build everything up so much, and then like I almost leave myself to only be disappointed.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
really
Everybody does that.
Yeah.
I think to an extent.
That's like the opposite of my life philosophy though, because Mariah's like, you always just, if I lose something, it's gone, it's forever. I
Yeah.
lost it, and then she's like, stop, and then I find it, and I'm like, well,
You're pleasantly surprised. Yeah, you
exactly.
Yeah.
I just go straight to the worst case.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario
Yeah.
always. But yeah, if it's something like that, I always hype it up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Like the Trump debate. Like I am hardly even able to sleep. I'm so excited for this thing. We're doing a live stream. We're gonna cover it live, just in fucking
man.
if it happens.
If it happens, it's a weird.
How do you think that
weird
plays
deal right
out?
now.
Honestly, assuming RFK's not there and it's just the two of them, because you know all the criteria, like no live audience, so Trump doesn't have anybody to play to.
Cut the mics
They cut the mics, which I don't think it matters. I think no matter
I
what
don't
the
think so
parameters are,
I
Trump
don't
kills
think so
it.
either. Yeah. I
But-
don't care what cocktail they've got Biden on.
But
you
see,
know,
I
to
just
wake him
don't
up
s-
or whatever.
I think it's
but-
gonna be a bloodbath to use,
same.
you know, that term.
Yeah. Anytime, any place, you name
Oh, it's
it.
been
I don't care. I'm
Trump
game.
has made this pro wrestling, dude. He has made it pro wrestling. Did you see him on with Logan Paul?
No.
So him and Logan Paul got, Trump just got on TikTok. So he went on to Logan
didn't
Paul, yeah. And well, I don't know if he went on the show. I think he had Logan Paul Tamir Lago, but like he was giving him like MAGA hats and stuff, and then he gave him some mugshot shirts and
Yeah.
all. It was kind of wild
Okay.
just to see that like he's hanging out with these influencers now,
Yeah.
and they're I'm not a big fan of the Paul brothers, but they've got a massive reach.
Oh yeah, huge. Oh my goodness.
Is that your generation that they were big in, or
No. That's like 5 to 10 years, I think, younger.
younger than you?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So how old are you now?
Be 33 this year.
Okay, so you're about 10 years younger than me. I'm 42.
Yeah.
So you're thinking like early 20s, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think like 25 is their like their main.
Because they're not that. They're how old are they?
I think they're like 28, something like that.
Or are they not 30 yet? Damn.
Oh, I don't know. But
I don't either.
I'm just talking to my ass. Yeah. I remember on YouTube them kind of, because one of them, I think it was Logan, he got in like some trouble with like a dead body, or like he did a video like there was a dead body somewhere, and then
That
like they
sounds
went
familiar.
there and put it in their thing and didn't report. I don't know, something like that. But
Yeah, he's also been in trouble for some like pyramid scheme scams and shit.
yeah.
I don't know. And what do you think about the Tyson fight with Jake Paul? Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea?
I want to see, like everybody. I think
I'm
I
gonna
want to see
fucking
that
watch
dude
it.
get his ass kicked. And I love Mike Tyson. Like, obviously that was way before my time.
Yeah,
too. I didn't grow up in that.
Yeah, my kids are excited to see him. But like I was probably 10 when he was killing
Yeah.
it, and so
Yeah.
like he was Mike Tyson's Punch Out came out.
The punch at the game. Yeah,
Dude, I bought
yeah.
boxing gloves because of him.
Oh,
I mean,
man, yeah.
he was one of my biggest heroes. Like when he was in, then he bit some dude's ear off and beat the shit out of his girlfriend, and it was all over. But
I was just really impressed with like his kind of like his little arc or whatever, going
Yeah.
from being, like like his mom was like a prostitute or whatever, and then he got taken under the wing and then turned into a killer, and then
yeah,
all the trouble. But to see him like kind of like come out of that, and I don't know if it was the Toad or whatever.
yeah, the Toad. That's
the
his
DMT.
Yeah,
stuff or
yeah,
whatever.
dude, he's wild
The
into all
Toad
that
taught
shit.
me how to be,
He had Alex
or
Jones
whatever.
on.
Yeah,
That was
man,
wild.
The first time I heard him on Joe Rogan, I was like, whoa. He's like, my ego was killing. Like I had to put that. I was like, that's some pretty deep stuff coming from a guy who sounds like he's
He's pretty
didn't have all
sharp.
the cards to start with.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but
And he's blessed with that voice somehow. I don't know how that worked. You always got to have some kind of, like the more Achilles heel or something
Sure,
that's just
sure.
like, what? How does he sound like that? But I'm excited for the fight. I think it's gonna be awesome.
No, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. One, I want to see somebody destroy that dude. Because I feel like they kind of cherry pick the fights that he's been in. Picking people who are out of their prime or
right,
who were
gimmicky shit.
Yeah, exactly. Who was the most legit person that he fought, which was the last fight, I think.
I don't know those people.
Yeah,
They don't mean I.
It was an MMA guy who was basically out of.
But he was
prime,
yeah,
and not MMA either. Still just boxing. And I don't know.
It's been fun to debate about because logic says no matter how in shape you are at Mike Tyson's age, you don't get in the ring with a guy like this.
Right.
But then you say, well, what if Tyson gets some hits in early? Right? He's still.
You see clips of him hitting the pads and stuff. It looks terrifying.
Well, we'd been talking about this, and then Dana White was on. Was it Flagrant? Was it Schultz last week? I saw a clip where he was saying the same thing. Like, this is a bad idea. You don't get in the ring when you're that old with a guy this young.
Right.
And somebody asked him, like, yeah, but what if Tyson gets some hits in on him? And he's like, well, if that happens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's your prediction?
I don't know. It's weird. Did you watch the Tyson and was it George? Who did he? Roy Jones.
When was this?
A year or two ago.
Oh, no.
He did a fight with another really old boxer.
But it was another older dude, right?
It was another older. I mean, they're like same age.
I remember that happening. I can't remember what happened.
That I didn't watch it live. I ended up like watching highlights or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a draw.
Oh,
they
really?
Hugged after, and I heard that that from somebody who knows a lot about boxing, which is not me, that they were not going
full speed.
100%,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're both, whatever.
Well, maybe
So
I think Tyson's probably preparing differently for this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really know, because I don't want him to be gimmicky. Like as bad as that sounds.
Yeah, I think I don't care if it's a gimmick. I just want to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I want my kids to be able to say I saw Tyson in a fight.
Oh, for sure.
It'd be like if
Yeah.
who is another good, like Peyton Manning. Like my kids didn't grow up watching Peyton Manning.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's hard because I remember growing up and everybody's like Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw,
Right.
and Joe Montana to me was a washed up quarterback in Kansas City. Like I didn't live through the glory days at San Francisco.
Wow.
So it's hard to convey how great somebody was in a YouTube video.
Yeah.
No matter how many highlights you
If
see.
you didn't live through the.
Yeah. it's the year after year and the
Yeah,
comebacks.
do you know how much
and
attention he commanded?
Right,
Right. In that time period, yeah.
and
that's hard
Peyton's
to-
fine. You watch any NFL?
A little bit.
Have you ever seen the Manning cast?
With him and
Him and Eli?
Yeah.
They're fucking hilarious.
They are. They
Their
are.
chemistry
They
is-
are very funny.
I was not an Eli fan when he played ball. Like, I just didn't care
No.
for the guy. He had no
No.
charisma. But he is funny as fuck. He's almost funnier than Peyton when they're together.
Okay.
Because he's like the little brother.
Yeah.
Who's always, like, trying to
Yeah.
piss Peyton off. And I think he actually does sometimes. I get the sense. But, like, they're really good together.
Okay.
I love watching that.
Yeah.
They got a lot of good guests on there, which kind of takes away from the game sometimes.
So they do their show during the game, like
Yeah,
like,
it's
okay.
it's the same. It's Monday Night Football, I'm pretty sure, and so instead of watching the main broadcast, you can
Right,
watch them on
okay,
ESPN
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And so it's basically, it's basically them talking about the game, and you get that insight from two
Sure.
like really sharp,
Yeah.
not Chris Collinsworth, like
Oh my gosh.
yeah. Somebody who really fucking
Yeah.
understands the game from a quarterback perspective, and what you don't really think about as quarterbacks is how well these guys understand defenses, and
Oh,
that's
sure,
the most
sure.
I've
Yeah,
learned is
yeah.
how they
Oh,
start
my
picking
goodness.
apart. Here's what defense is. Here's
Yeah,
what they're
also
gonna do, and just breaking apart these defenses,
Yeah.
which is stuff you never really hear
Right.
from an offensive perspective.
Did you? That's how I felt the first couple games that I watched with Tony Romo on the commentary.
He's
like,
great.
okay, watch this. He's probably gonna do this, and I'm like, look, he looks like he's already has the inside scoop, or he's being fed what's actually going
Yeah.
down, because it was
Yeah.
almost
No, he's
stuff,
legit.
like, right here, you do a screen out to what, and then boom, right down.
Sure enough.
Oh yeah.
See,
yeah.
he was another one of those quarterbacks I just did not like when he was playing, but man,
Yeah.
when he started commentating, I was like, this guy's it.
Yeah.
Like, he's made for this.
Yeah, I know. So living in Arkansas, obviously, like, you're surrounded by Cowboy fans.
Oh,
and so
God,
it's like,
yes.
That's who I'm supposed to like.
Yes,
the ties,
Razorbacks and Cowboys.
Yeah, the ties with Jones and all that.
Yeah.
But it's just like he took he was the the scapegoat or like that. It was always him. That was the reason that the Cowboys could never get to the postseason.
He
or
was the
whatever.
latest reason. They've had
Right.
20 years
Oh,
of
yeah.
reasons.
Yeah,
So what's the one constant in those 20 years, right? It's Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Maybe you're
Yeah.
the problem because you've had more talent in Dallas in the last 20 years than I've seen any other organization.
Right.
Even the fucking New England Patriots ran low on talent and won Super Bowls.
Right.
So there's no excuse
Sure.
really for what Dallas has gone
Yeah.
through because they've had all the talent. They've had great coaches.
Yeah, probably a pretty good case study there on owners getting
Too deep in the
involved.
weeds.
Yeah. I heard similar stuff about that with Michael Jordan and whoever it was the Charlotte. They were the Bobcats or whatever. When Michael Jordan is an owner, and I think are they the Charlotte?
I don't know.
They were.
I don't know any of it. I'm not- no.
But I heard the same thing that that he basically had.
Got in the weeds
Yeah.
and really.
He played too much like he couldn't stay out of it. He couldn't just hire somebody that he trusted to do the job. He just couldn't
And do his
help
pe-
himself from
Ah.
interfering. And it's like you hired this guy to do this, and now you're breathing over his shoulder,
Micromanaging the
Yeah,
process,
yeah.
yeah. And then everybody's second guessing everything.
Right.
I bet that's what's going on in Dallas. I mean, I've worked for micromanagers. It's definitely a detriment to the overall success of an organization. But can you imagine being Jerry Jones and winning, what was it, 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, 92 through 95 in there, and you're the best team money could buy. That was before salary cap. So a lot of it, I mean, they were the best team in the
Sure.
NFL, but that was also before salary cap. So
Okay.
you could buy I kind of feel like that's what happened. But regardless, you win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. That's got to be a level of glory we can't even fathom. Right?
Yeah.
And now
Oh,
you spend
yeah.
the rest of your life trying to live that again one last time. That's got to be pretty powerful drive if you've got that kind of money. And
Yeah. It'd be hard to stay hands off, and just hire somebody and watch them do something.
yeah, it's like an obsession.
Yeah.
It's like Trump wanting to be president at that age. It's like, dude, but if I was that age, I wouldn't want to do shit. but sit in
Why
the
would you
woods
want to?
somewhere.
What does he have to gain? You know, I mean, if it's not altruistic, you know,
Like, you've already done so much.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you want to be president?
Why? Especially all this getting drugged through the mud, you know.
Yeah, nobody's ever had to go through what he's gone through. Love him or hate him, it's
Love him or
absolute
hate him.
bullshit.
You can't deny.
And here's how I put it to people: imagine if it's your guy.
Yeah.
Flip this around, because everybody's cheering right now about all the shit that's going on to Trump because it's Trump.
The precedent that's being
Right.
set is.
But now wait till it happens to you, or you personally.
Yeah.
Because like one of my favorite Trump quotes is, "They're not after me, they're after you, and I'm in the way."
Right.
If you can establish going after people for
I like
bullshit,
that. That's a good,
wait till the citizens. Wait till you go up again. You know, the AI's got you on every list in the book right now. You know, there's a chance they could go after Trump supporters.
Yeah.
You bought stuff from Trump, you know, and he's been linked to causing insurrection on this. So basically, you're an insurrectionist.
Yeah. Some of the
I mean,
people
that's where we're
that
heading.
have been jailed over
bullshit.
Man, yes.
And I don't know.
People who never step foot.
No, not even close to the Capitol.
Yeah.
Did you see, you know, when they released the 40,000 hours of footage, there was a documentary that was, I think Epic Times put it out. It was like the real story of January 6th, where they edit together a completely different narrative, where basically, you know, people went down there. Trump had offered National Guard. Pelosi turned him down. They didn't put National Guard out there. And then it appears that there were federal agents in with the Capitol Police who were instigating. So, like, they threw, provocateurs.
Yeah.
So there's one scene where one dude throws a smoke grenade down into the crowd.
Yeah.
And the dude grabs it and throws it back,
Yeah.
which is an escalation.
Sure.
And then it just, because one half of the building was completely peaceful, the other half
and the
got
other
into
half-
the,
yeah.
and it looked like it was
two
instigated.
different stories depending on which footage you want to use.
Right,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
still the only unarmed insurrection in the history of the world. I
Yeah,
find that
yeah.
the term, and they change definitions all the time, which I don't know, and they just get away with it too, right? Like, just people either believe it, or the people who don't believe it can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think you do if you're in that position? Like, do you think that you play the appeal game? You know, you take your L, you know, and then go. Or I feel like you got to do, you know, that. I don't like that strategy personally. You know,
I don't either.
Because it's like you're going, you know, you're hoping that the system is gonna, you know, like, you're relying on the system in a lot of ways that just fucked you. You
Yes,
know? And
yes,
it's like,
yes. That's a great way to put it.
It's
Relying on the system that fucked you.
I don't have any faith in in any of the courts, whether it's the appellate court or whatever. At this point, you know, it's like,
how long have you felt this way? That you've lost complete trust in the system? Because for me, for example, as of like 2017 was probably the last year I felt confident in American government and the system.
I think about right about then, you know, because anything before that, I don't want to say I wasn't like old enough to know what's going on. I just, like, I was in a time in my life where
you were checked out.
I didn't give a fuck.
Same.
You know
Same.
what I mean? I didn't even know what was going on. I was
because you were the same way. I don't want to use the term selfish, but like just thinking about you and your family, and then
selfish,
right? Yeah, 'cause I was the same way. I didn't care.
No.
I tend to be right leaning, so
it's
I
all
would.
crap. It's all fake. It doesn't matter, you know. Which I'm still kind of there, but
but now it's a deeper understanding of how.
At that point, I thought it was never going to affect me in any way, you know.
Yes.
And I didn't have kids.
And you didn't have
think
kids
about the future, you know.
Yes.
Like, you know. And
but
so
kids
now
changes
I'm
everything.
Like, oh, fuck.
Now you're thinking about the future
oh, my God,
in a way you never thought about it before.
Never.
Well, how can I enjoy myself today?
Oh yeah.
That's all I cared about.
I know. And now I'm like, oh goodness, what are they going to be?
What am I? Now instead of thinking about what I'm going to do today, I'm thinking about what are my kids going to do in 5 years, 10 years. You know, what's going to be around. And that's why this whole Trump game, I like to reverse it. It's like, just imagine this is reversed.
Right.
You would
Man.
you would be screaming bloody murder.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to take a step back and look at the precedent they're setting. And because do we want lawfare? Do we want 4 years of revenge with Trump going on after everybody? Oh, I kind of do, just to make it fair. Yeah. But we can't have this forever, you know. He didn't go after Hillary for that very reason.
Yeah.
And he promised to lock her up and all this stuff. And a lot of people wanted to see it. But he realized that's a dumb... And then they stole his playbook.
Yeah.
But they're masters of accusing you of what they're doing.
Right.
And that goes for, you know, if you use the term the deep state or whoever it is. Who do you think is controlling? Do you believe in the deep state, or do you think it's corporations?
I
or
really
both?
I really believe it's corporations protecting their interest. You know, like that.
But do they own a deep state within the government that are non-elected bureaucrats?
I don't have that much faith in people to be able to maintain that. You know, what
Really?
I mean? I feel like people are.
That's an interesting perspective.
I don't think that those people are. You know, like whether it's Pelosi or like the higher up people that seem like they're kind of orchestrating stuff, like
Right.
the Schumers or whatever, or even people on the other side, whether it was the Mitch McConnell.
Yes.
and some of
Oh,
those
he's
other
a
the
dog,
people that
man.
have been in there for,
That guy's died on camera like 9 times in the
yes,
last 6
oh my
months.
God, I don't think that these guys like are part of some
Well, I don't think it's
mastermind thing.
them
Oh,
because
okay.
they're elected.
Sure.
They're
Oh, yeah,
bought
no,
they're
you're
bought
right, you're
by lobbyists.
Okay.
I'm talking about guys who are like a mid-level guy at the CIA who has high clearance, right? Or a guy who's maybe a political appointee, but the job doesn't pay a lot, and here's a way to set your grandkids up for life.
Okay, so I do think that
That's
there's
what I'm
some
talking
sort
about.
of so if there's a deep state that I think is legit, that is like perpetuating itself and making sure that it stays together
In power,
or whatever,
yes. Yeah.
then I think it would be some form of the DOJ or whatever, like
Right.
whether it's FBI or
Right.
CIA, because I've gotten more interested in what's going on now.
Yeah.
And then I look back at stuff. Some of the stuff that happened, like with Nixon and the Watergate stuff, and then when you find
I've heard
out how
about
many,
that. Tucker was talking about this recently.
yeah, that stuff freaks me out. He was like one of the most popular,
Yes.
presidents
Populist
ever,
almost, yeah.
And then whenever that happens, it seems like somehow things work out to where that once he was down, they made sure that his number
Yep.
2 had already been taken care of, so that his vice president was basically installed.
Yeah.
Whoever, I can't think of. I'm an idiot. I don't know who that person was, but I know that Spiro Agnew was his
yes.
original VP.
Yes.
But they locked him up for some sort of tax.
Yeah.
They got him on a white collar technicality type of thing, and then we're able to basically. Something like the Congress isn't like they wouldn't confirm anybody but this the person that they wanted that they knew, if you believe in this stuff
Right.
that's who was going to ultimately be
Yes.
the president,
And they did it.
because they knew that they were going to be taking down,
and they did it.
yeah,
There's
and then-
evidence.
they're like the people who broke into the Watergate
The-
office
yeah.
or whatever, like
Dude.
like 5 of the 7 or whatever were confirmed like CIA.
Yes.
I'm like, okay,
It's like that Gretchen Whitmer kidnap case where it's like there's 9 people involved and 8 of them were FBI agents tricking one guy. But here's why I believe in the deep state and why I no longer believe in left versus right.
Yeah.
It was going after Trump.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he was a
They've
Republican.
almost shown their hand doing
It
that.
wasn't
Like, yeah.
because you had plenty of shit to go after George W. Bush for.
Oh.
I mean, but they went after Trump like no one else, and it wasn't because he was on the right, because he's very moderate.
Yeah, no,
And this is
yeah.
the thing. Also, I think the left didn't understand. Like if you put MAGA into power, you run the risk of a very authoritarian, right-wing, Christian conservative.
Yeah.
Authoritarian,
Yeah.
and because Trump is very moderate politically,
Yeah.
very moderate. So it's not about that. It's not about his attitude or sexual shit. We had Clinton doing that shit in the White House. Now he wasn't being mean to people, and I get a lot of women hate him because of his brashness. But again, do you want the dad? When a criminal comes for your daughter, do you want the dad hiding under the bed scared, or the dad who's going to blow him away with a shotgun?
Yeah.
We're on a world
Tell 'em
stage.
what's
It's
up.
not
Yeah,
just
yeah,
about
yeah, no.
Americans here. It's about you presenting yourself to the world. But they went after him so hard. It's like, well, why? Well, the only thing you can come up with is that he's wealthy and can't be bought.
Yeah.
Which everyone else can be bought. Why did Obama go in worth X amount and then comes out a millionaire with the presidential salary? Which Trump didn't even take his salary, by the way.
Right.
And he, still. And you look at the lawfare against him and whether he's using, I don't know if he's able to use PAC money or his own funds or whatever, but 99% of Americans couldn't even afford to defend themselves against this.
No.
So it's like you're either trying to drain his resources
Yeah.
or, what else? How far do you think he'll see prison time? You think they put him in jail? I've got a bet with Nicole Bynum, a friend of mine.
I know they want to, but if you first off, these are like manufactured types of charge. Like they're
up jumped
unprecedented,
misdemeanors that are
they're like
it's also
like
a technicality.
Class E felony, which is like barely even it's the most white collar.
But it allows them to say convicted felon.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
It's all about the narrative.
Love that.
Yeah.
But I think if it's anyone else in the world, you see like some sort of house arrest,
Or, no, I don't even think that. You get a fine, maybe.
Right? Yeah. Worst case scenario for somebody.
If it was anyone else, these charges wouldn't have been brought.
Maybe 5
to
years
begin
of
with.
probation, and maybe whatever, a little bit of something like that. Nobody would ever see. But I don't know.
Do you lose voting rights if you're a felon, or is that only if you're incarcerated?
You do. Yeah.
So he loses his right to vote.
Yeah.
If this stands.
Yeah.
Right to bear a firearm.
Yeah, I know he already had to surrender his firearms. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't heard that. I figured.
I guess he had 2 or 3. Whatever.
I thought that was gangster.
Yeah.
They're solid gold too. They're solid gold, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
All 3 of them. One in the boot.
Dude.
That's crazy. Trump packing gold guns, dude.
And I think this might be an optimistic stance, but I feel like they've whoever it is, if it's a deep state or if it's just people trying to stay in power, whatever, like some elitist type class warfare type stuff. I feel like whoever, they've like shown their hand too much. You're not being
Well, I think they're showing their hand too much because everybody went along with COVID.
Yeah,
they're like, what are they willing to do?
It's a good point.
Here's a test. Okay, everyone will comply. We might as well just do it right out in the open now because nobody will do a damn thing.
That's a really good point. I never thought
That's
of
my
it like
theory.
That, being like a little litmus test. With, like, what if we say this, who's gonna say no, and then can we brand those people as some sort of
undesirable?
Yeah.
Well, I just keep thinking about the motivations of COVID. It's like, why release a virus that is no deadlier than the common cold? It's not to kill people. Yeah, you're going to have deaths, but it's going to be deaths of people who already have issues,
comorbidities.
People
that are knocking on deaths.
Very elderly were the ones who suffered the most. If you wanted to release a virus to kill people, it would certainly be better than that.
No, they didn't want to do that.
So it had nothing to do with that. I think ultimately, to me, how far can we exert control in an emergency state? And this was, and to me, was a fake emergency.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that. I think it was kind of like a test.
I think it was a test, 100%.
Yeah,
and we failed.
Big time.
They won.
Big,
and that is honestly why I think they've been doing it in the open now, because there are no.
They turned like half my family against me. I was like, dude, for real.
Same. I just people are losing family members and friends over it.
Yeah.
And I think if and trust me, I believe a certain way.
Yeah.
But as long as we can agree on the same facts, we can have different opinions.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are unwilling to they can't even question their own beliefs. They're so married to their own beliefs. And I used to be that way too, until I started getting involved, and now I will be open to anything.
Oh, man.
If somebody told me
anybody, I'm constantly willing to put my ideas and beliefs to the test, because please, I want to make sure if there's any holes in my art, I don't want to look like an idiot
if somebody told me the Jews are actually an alien race who own this planet and they're from another solar system and they work for the Gorgons from the black hole Nebulon, I'd be like, talk to me.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
okay.
That's a good point.
I'll consider anything.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I honestly, that's something that I never really saw coming in the past, since October or whatever.
Yeah.
Since the whole thing, with Palestine kicked off.
Oh God.
Was that I was just, and this is what scared me, is I was always like, I've seen. I've been I've been with a lot of people who are like Islam, I did a little time, but I've seen the dark sides personally of people who are like fundamentalist, like Muslims, and they're like openly, and I know that doesn't represent everybody, who practices, Islam or whatever. I know there's like the whatever, but I just always I'm like, like pretty sure in the text and stuff, there's a lot of, you know, just like outright kill them all, no tolerance type stuff, you know. And so whenever things kicked off, you know, like in Israel with like the you know, the attacks in October and then everything that followed after that, I was kind of like right on board, and I was like, yeah, these people are never gonna want to reach a peace agreement, you know what I mean? That they're always gonna say, you know, fuck Israel, you know, like, like you don't deserve to exist, kill them all, we don't want peace. And so I was kind of like, fucking, you know, let them have it kind of deal. And then like started seeing, you know, and it wasn't all of like the protesting stuff. It was actually some people that, you know, I respect their opinions on Twitter, you know, that, you know, making some really good points. And you know,
this is exactly what happened to me, by the way.
Oh shit, I thought that I kind of like saw
had a clue,
you know, I did. And then I'm like, God damn,
I don't know shit.
You know, not that these are like are angels in Gaza, you know what I mean? Not saying that, but maybe it's not as black and white as I was thinking. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, you know. And then I read about some, you know, some false flag operations that, you know, that they. The Mossad or not Mossad. The Israel's like little
they'd be like the equivalent of our CIA,
you probably, know, like some of the stuff that they carried out, this is factual stuff, like we're talking about, you know. We can all agree that this was a fact. That's a, you know, that these things were carried out to gain support from the West for Israel, you know, to gain sympathy and
we're being manipulated.
Like, oh, shit, you know. And then you know, and then to see, like, why will Biden not just go all Palestinian? Why won't he just go all the way? Because those are his people. Those are the same people marching for, you know, pride and get rid of the guns and, you know,
gays for Palestine.
Oh my God. I'm like, why would
Who
he
knew?
not? I was like, oh, there's some reason that he won't, you know, just jump on board with that, and it's not because he's a, you know, in my opinion, like a good guy, you know.
No. He's not.
He doesn't want the ceasefire because they're, you know, that I didn't see that coming, and I'm still, I don't pretend to know.
That's been a divisive thing for me and my family, because there's some very pro-Israel alignments in my family. And I also, after October 7th, I was like, get these motherfuckers. Right? And then people I respected, like Dave Smith, you know Dave Smith, the Libertarian. So he's Jewish too, by the way. He's like, hey, you know, all you people out there weighing in on this don't know shit. All you people talking heads, none of you know anything. And he starts breaking it down. And then all these people on Tim Pool start breaking it down. And it's not pro-Palestine. It's just, hey, Israel is not faultless in this. And it's like, I didn't know any of this. And so I started listening. Dave Smith recommended a podcast, Fear and Loathing in the New Jerusalem, on Spotify. Okay. It's 20 hours. And it's an objective, like, history of Palestine and and Judaism and all this. And I got through, I don't know, 5-6 hours of it. Like, it's so dry. Like, but I'm trying to educate myself because I don't know anything.
That's where I tried to.
And the people who want to argue the most know less than I do. So it's like, if I tell you all this, you're not even going to believe. Like, it goes back to World War I, and the British over promised, and then you had Jewish people coming in and kicking Palestinians out of their homes that they lived in for centuries, and then in '48 they get named a state, you know, a recognized state. I mean, it's just one of those things that I think people have less of a clue than they even realize.
Exactly,
and so did you and I. A year ago.
I know, embarrassing. Yeah, that was definitely like a hole that I had, you know, that I never that I didn't see there. But I think that it's something that I never wanted to entertain, because the conspiracies with like Jewish control go as far as you want to.
As far as my lifetime, there's been jokes about that shit.
Oh my, you know, and all the way into, you know, the I mean, I have to go way further than this, but something that I was looking at recently, you know, because people were comparing this, you know, with like all of the, you know, this like transgender, you know, like with the kids and the drag story hour, and the way that it seems like we're kind of just like descending into you know, some sketchy territory. I heard people making comparisons or draw, you know, to the Weimar Republic, which was like a Jewish controlled state in Germany or whatever, where they did the doctor who performed the first sex change operation was there, and apparently they were getting extra hedonistic there, and that like played some part of the role in why Nazi Germany wanted to like shut that down. And then
where are you getting? Like, I haven't heard this. Where did you find this? I'd like to look into this.
Yeah, it started on Twitter, and then somebody recommended some. Who knows? It's not fact check stuff. But
yeah. Well, there's a lot of.
I watched like an 8-hour video on Rumble, and so I was like, there's.
We're in an age of ease of information right now.
Yeah. You're
right. And Alex Jones' show is called InfoWars.
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
Yeah.
It's a matter of like what your definitions are.
Sure.
Who you reach first, because headlines matter. So who has the biggest immediate reach?
Yeah.
Like, people aren't really educating themselves, and I appreciate that you have been, because I think you and I kind of been on the same journey together at about the same time, and we're both realizing the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know shit.
Oh man,
but you know so much more than you knew 5 years ago.
No, and also 5 years ago I also didn't care really. And,
well, that's why we didn't know about it, so we weren't interested in it.
Yeah, but the more I try to find out, the bigger that gap is that you find out. There's
But how big of an influence is Joe Rogan for real, though? Because he's not a political guy, but he has had to be since the ivermectin thing, where they lied about him on CNN, tinted his face green, said he was taking horse dewormer, which ivermectin's won a Nobel Prize for efficacy in humans. We know all this. It was a demonization because in order to get an emergency authorization for a vaccine, there's got to be no other viable alternative. So if it's known that it's a viable alternative, then you lose your emergency authorization. So there's a huge monetary incentive to destroy ivermectin. So immediately CNN does this and demonizes people.
And you're not supposed to believe that.
And Joe Rogan is still sore about it. He brings it up almost every damn podcast still. And I think he should. He needs to keep that in people's memory.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they lied about it. And he wasn't involved at all before that happened. And now he's down the rabbit hole.
Oh, they basically...
they red-pilled Rogan.
Yeah, they
by going really, too far.
They really did with that.
And the mistake they made was thinking that they were bigger than him. And that's when I think they realized, nope, the people still have power because Rogan is bigger than we are.
Yeah.
And that's why it backfired, and it broke the whole COVID narrative. That was the beginning of the end of the COVID narrative.
That's the only thing that I feel like
and it's because it happened to him.
Completely nihilistic about everything is that that silent majority or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot more people that just don't spout their opinions all over the place or don't show up on types of that are way more common sense than people imagine. But
like you said, until it affected you didn't really care, and I was the same way.
Yeah.
And so was Rogan, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's 10 years older than we are,
yeah.
and wasn't plugged in until it happened to him. Yeah. And now he's got guys like you watch. You ever see Tim Dillon?
Oh, I love that.
That guy is my new favorite guy.
Oh man,
he's just funny in conversation, the way he had the rips on boomers. Man. About being the most selfish generation, because that's his parents' age.
Yeah.
I mean, some of his gags on them, and he goes on and on and on.
He's if you can appreciate Tim Dillon's humor or whatever, then
he's great.
I can automatically click with somebody who appreciates that because he's like a litmus test almost
nice. That needs to be a new litmus test. Do you like Tim Dillon?
Because if you he knows what he's talking about, but he's also freaking hilarious. And if you that's how I feel like I am. I really do give a shit, but I also have to. I can't let it suck me. You
ever tried these?
Take my way. Huh? Is it
they're nicotine pouches.
Oh yeah, I'll take one.
It's like a Zen?
No?
Yeah, it's like a Zen basically, but it's stronger and cheaper. It's Velo. You can get them at Casey's.
Little vape deals, dude.
Oh, dude, those are bad for you, dude.
Those are so bad.
Not good.
And my little brother left one at my house, and I started fucking with that thing. I'm like, dude, this is a sugar addiction.
Yeah,
is what I came down to, and I was like, I want sugar. I want the yummy, fruity.
Yeah,
that doesn't even have anything to do.
Well, that's what TikTok
nicotine.
is for the brain. The dopamine hits little kids get from the next thing and the gratification of
the doom scrolling. Just another one.
Yeah,
There's a reason
is that what it's called? Doom scrolling?
Yeah.
Oh
so.
God, that's terrifying.
It's just and it's supposedly the same type of psychology behind like slot machines. It needs to be a repeatable behavior
yes.
with a like a high chance for a good outcome.
That's good success.
I mean? You know?
To find a laugh, get a laugh video,
Yeah.
the laugh challenges.
Yeah. Like, this one's not good, this one's not good. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. I'm going to
Reward.
send this to 5 of my friends.
Yes, and then get the feedback and immense gratification.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
It's terrifying. That's why I try and get the little ones, because they watch a lot of YouTube, watch long form videos. Watch,
at least make sure you have
which sucks when it's bedtime. It's like, how much is left in like 6 hours? It's like, oh no, we're not going to finish that tonight. No, but they'll watch guys build engines.
Oh man!
And like build rifles and stuff, and then test it out. Like,
that's this type of stuff I'm trying to get the girls watching. Not engines and rifles, but like houses and sustainable.
Dude, there's so many.
Like,
I've learned so much from YouTube.
Type stuff, dude.
Yes.
I'm like, check this out. Look how they get their water, dude. They built this whole house out of mud and straw and brick, and it's all.
Have you seen the? Well, you might be talking about the same guys. There's a couple dudes. I don't know if they're in Africa or South America, but they build these palaces by hand with like sand and natural.
We call those the mud guys.
Oh, is that yeah?
Oh, yeah. They start off in the sticks.
Yes.
They're
insane.
Yeah. No. That like.
But they time lapse it, but it's still.
Yeah. They got the pool with the waterfall
for dogs and shit.
Yeah.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sit down and watch that shit with them, because I like to be plugged into what my kids are into.
Yeah. Part of that is like Mariah, like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel bad because like it's got to be something I like too. You know what I mean? We're not just gonna watch. If we're gonna spend time together watching a screen, then it's not gonna be bunny food. Whatever. It's not gonna be another kid playing with toys.
Do y'all limit your electronic time in your house?
Yeah. We don't have a time thing. It's just like not during the week. It's like on the weekends.
Okay.
But now we're trying to like, because it used to be. Go crazy on the weekends because this is your only time. But now during the summer, we're doing a bunch of like lax stuff during the week that I don't want to see them on it. Like for long periods of time.
Yeah.
When there's stuff to do outside.
Yeah. Good for you, man.
It's hard.
You're not in the majority.
No, man.
You're not in the majority. And other parents admit it's bad. They say, "Oh, I know. I'm so lazy. I shouldn't do this." But it's like, well, it's too late now.
I want to get rid of that. My mom probably 5 years ago bought all 3 of them iPads, so they all 3 have their own iPad. And and Mariah, luckily, man, we on all the important stuff we're pretty.
That's me and Julia too. All the shit that matters.
All the stuff that matters.
We'll fight about really dumb shit.
Oh, the dumbest shit you
the
can
dumbest
think
shit
of,
you can think of.
You're not respecting me. That's my biggest deal. Oh, I think I need to be treated like a king, but
oh my god, that's so funny. We have a lot in
no,
common.
The important stuff is, thank goodness I found, somebody,
But that is so key, and that's more valuable than the stupid shit.
Yeah.
And people are always focused on the stupid shit.
Yeah.
But like, man, when you're aligned with how you want to raise your children, like to the fucking T, it makes it so easy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we
because the kids are not a fight, and that's a fight for a lot of families. How to raise these kids.
Now that could be. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm like, this isn't where I want to draw the line. This isn't the hill I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what it is. We got together really young. Maybe this is something we disagree on. We don't talk a lot about politics, stuff like that.
Right.
But the kids were totally there.
Yeah.
And if there was something there, then I feel like that's worthy of drawing a line. You know what I mean? Like if you're cool with them doing this stuff, and I don't want my kids doing that. I mean, not that breaking it off is gonna fix that.
No,
but
no.
I can't idly sit by and just be like, I wanted to do better, but your mom would. Like I couldn't do that. I'd feel guilty.
100%. Yeah, you would.
Yeah, because I think a lot about you judge your parents pretty harshly once you have kids. And
yeah,
and
right.
Yeah.
There's still things I disagree.
Yeah.
Still, even knowing what I know.
1,000%.
Vastly disagree. But I had no idea what they were going through. Yeah. You did what you thought was right. We'll disagree on what's right.
Sure.
But you did what you thought was right, and I get that.
I know your heart was in the right place.
Yes,
That's what matters,
And that took an understanding, though, as growing as a person and being a parent. Because there's a lot of stuff you just can't ever see eye to eye on until you experience it.
Yeah.
That's why I've got family that judges younger family very harshly, and why aren't they more mature and this and that? It's like, because they don't have to be.
Right.
They're not married. They don't have children.
No.
Multiple children who are all walking and talking and want your attention at the same time. You know what that's like. But like somebody who has, say, a 2-year-old is not in the same space as somebody who has 3 kids who are all dressing themselves. You know what I mean?
Different
it's
age too. Yeah.
right.
You know,
And I don't know what it's like to have 3 teenagers, so I don't even want to pretend like I do.
No.
You know,
No.
like
No.
that's why I don't want to see. You know, when people give us compliments like your kids are this or that or they're respectful, I'm like,
wait till they get there.
I don't want. Let's
They
hold
haven't hit
off.
puberty yet. Hold on.
Let's hold off. I was also
we'll
good
see.
at that age, and
Yeah.
I became a demon.
Because at a certain point too, and I feel like my oldest is starting to get to this age where it's like everything that was important that we needed to do is like almost it's past that time. You know what I mean? It's like I think we're about to just reap the whatever we sowed
Whatever
this
you
first
sowed.
12 years. You know?
Yeah.
Because once they hit that like that the started doing the puberty deal, it's like you can't really pull the reins back very much then. I mean you can.
I don't know. I have a theory. I think if you build a strong enough foundation, you can go on that ride with them.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to do.
That's what I'm banking on. You know what I mean?
Good.
3 girls, and I try to spend as much time. Maybe a selfish, but I feel like they need me almost more than Mariah. You know, with the male, because I got a sister who grew up without her dad, wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I've seen the type of male companionship issues there, and I'm like, I don't want that for my.
Well, the thing is, they need both.
Right.
Equally.
Right. I'm not saying they don't need the mom, you know.
Yeah, no,
but
I know, but yeah,
I
you're right.
watch them and Mariah just
they need a
freaking
dad.
butt heads because they're girl, you know. And then I like to be the, let's look at it this way.
Yeah.
or let's,
you just need 2 perspectives.
Sure, exactly.
You need a masculine and a feminine, because there's times when my wife wins the day because of whatever the thing is, and it's like, but I feel like if kids have 2, I don't know, parents that care, but have different, like, men and women are going to feel differently about things.
Sure.
And I think if you just present the arguments to the kids and let them decide, rather than say, this is what you believe.
Oh, yeah. No.
Right? This is who you're going to be.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to be interested in.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah.
And you wonder why there's a lot of fragmented families with, parents and kids who just can't even.
That's why I was like, fuck you all. I'm doing my own. I'm gonna go run
I
my
was
head
the
into a
same.
wall
I'll
a
do
couple
whatever I
times.
got to do.
Yeah.
But I got to learn it for myself. I'm not going to just take your word
Same.
that,
Same. Yep. It's crazy.
And then I found out my government was lying to me. Who knew?
Man, dude, all those people that live out in the woods and stuff that used to say that they're not as crazy as you thought they were.
I think my wife is disappointed that I've just basically become her dad, because he was always telling her all this shit. The government's doing that, and it just becomes.
That's funny.
And now I've like when him and I get.
Oh no, not
when
you.
him and I get together, the room clears.
Yeah.
Like we'll just talk, like you and I are talking now, just all this shit. And now she realized she's married to her dad. Yeah. And I think
that's kind of how it's been with Mariah. That's why we don't do. That's why we're not really good. Not that Kimball was like that at all. Kimball's the freaking man, dude. One of the coolest dudes I know.
And handsome.
Dude, he's a handsome
fucking
man, dude. Yeah.
Silver fox, that guy.
No kid.
He gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, same. Man, yeah, but Mariah feels like I switched it up on her, dude. She's like, you're not a Republican. You've always done, whether it's smoking weed and doing this and you're like being a little hippie guy, and that's definitely how I felt during the Bush era and the war in Iraq. I watched a couple 9/11 documentaries,
right? Maybe they knew.
Yeah, and then and anyway, so I was like, no, I'm not, and then. After this, the Trump stuff, really, I was like, why are they fucking going after this dude? And that didn't make me a Republican, but that just made me, see
No, I'm still not a Republican. I don't consider myself one at all. I don't even believe in right and left. I think they're both paid for by the same people. It's a uniparty.
That's why I'm like, it's two like elitist class trying to perpetuate power, and I was like, I feel like this side plays a little dirty, and so this, I'd rather see, this side get up there because maybe this guy's more my, it all. Whenever I say it out loud,
but here's the problem. Here's the problem as I see it. you and I've been into the political world for what, 6-7 years?
Yeah.
Okay, and getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
We found authoritative sources that we trust. We feel like we're getting good information. We have sources we can fact check with.
Sure.
Now imagine somebody who's just coming into the game in season 1, and they're wanting to learn.
Yeah.
But everything you say sounds crazy.
It does. Oh my gosh.
How do you sell that person? Because that's what I'm running up against. There's people who are like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, tell me. And then I start talking, and they're like, this is nuts. You sound like
Start with a very surface level with what you can see that's like a current event
obvious
right now,
happening.
Yeah, look at the
But then you have to break
Fannie Willis stuff.
But then you have to break through tons of propaganda,
right.
because I've been told this, and so now you have to
Sure.
break down all these things. It's just exhaustive.
And I totally agree with that when you start getting into the details. But if you look very surface level with some of these like court proceedings and these judges and these prosecutors that have been going after them, it's like it's not very slick. You know, these are not
Our nation's best. Our nation's
it's like,
best. It's not like you
Don't
have
let
these.
your DEI hire be the person that's presiding
Right,
over
like-
trying to one of the biggest cases
Right.
the country has seen.
You have the moral high ground somehow when you're a bigger criminal than he is.
Fannie Willis.
But it's in
lady
every trial.
prosecute this guy. You know, she's under the spotlight, and
And
all
Jack
the
Smith
stuff
has
that-
done some shit. You said the FBI rearranged the classified documents.
Yes,
Like they tampered with evidence,
Yeah.
which like it's just so nuts.
Some of the most recent stuff that I've seen is the so that same prosecutor who's oh shit I had it in my lap. Yeah, I was starting to get a little,
Zone,
get
yeah.
a little dizzy.
It's a little much if you don't do them regular.
So she obviously had I don't know if his case got thrown out with her, the one that was in Georgia, because she was like sleeping around with a dude.
Well, she was using state funds
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
on
yeah.
vacations
And
with
having
her
an
love toy.
Yeah, exactly. Having an affair with the guy that she hired,
And
that they were paying with state money. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
she
that-
hired him.
That like discredited her.
Yeah, that whole case was.
But then she's also the head person on this the Young Thug. You know this guy?
The rapper.
Yeah. So
What's I heard about it, but I don't know anything.
RICO charges type stuff.
Okay.
You know, I think some gang
Racketeering,
stuff that's
yeah.
going on. Yeah, and
In
just
what
saw-
is it? Racketeering in. What's the C? I can't remember the acronym.
no,
but yeah,
no. And honestly, I don't even understand what that.
it's basically a
what-
conspiracy.
What he did. Yeah.
It's basically You're running an operation in conspiracy with others.
But
Like
I
it
just-
was done to take down the mafia.
I just saw that they basically just got caught though. His last name is Steele, the attorney. I think it's Young Thug's like top attorney person. Found out that the judge met in private with like the prosecution and their head, their number one witness, and like came to some sort of conclusion without involving the defense, which they're supposed to be present. And whenever this attorney brought it up to the judge was, and this was like I think this week.
This happened this week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this week.
Okay.
I watched the video of him.
I'm gonna look this up later. Yeah, I need to look into this.
But basically, the judge was like, "Who'd you hear that from?" And he's like, "This is attorney-client privilege, whatever. I don't have to, but I want to know why the prosecution and you met with this person and we weren't involved." And the judge was like, "Who did you hear that from?" And then held the attorney in contempt of court. And so they're like, lock him up because he won't tell me who he heard that from. And so then his defense comes up, and they're like, okay, one, if you're going to hold him in contempt, then it's got to be criminal contempt, and then, contempt, and then, and whatever, all the stuff that goes. But basically, it got turned, but the Georgia Supreme Court stepped in, and they like shut it all down, got the contempt stuff. Like, he can't, basically, the judge can't do that.
Where was this?
In Georgia.
This is the Young Thug stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta look into this.
Yeah.
This is
So Fannie Willis she's the head.
She's
the
on
head
this one,
person
too.
And I'm like, dude, this stuff reeks.
It all reeks, dude. What do you think about the Hunter Biden stuff? Because a lot of people are saying
I
that.
think this is a show. I think it's a show so that they can, I don't. A lot of people are like, well, he's not going to do any time because Joe will just pardon him. Joe's not going to let his son do any time. I'm like, I think he's going to make sure that he gets a slap on the wrist and that he's going to let it go through, and that's going to be their proof of, we're
being fair and unbiased, even though they threw out like all the bad shit. The fucking conspiracy to
we're gonna focus on the gun thing because he went and bought a gun.
What about all the Ukraine?
He wasn't a drug addict.
This shit in Ukraine have anything to do with it?
That he admitted
he was on the
received
board
funds from Ukraine and China, and then Joe in the debates, there's footage of him saying, "My son never received any money from Ukraine or China."
Well, being on the board of Burisma isn't that's wild in and of itself. Could you imagine if Trump Jr. was on the board of a Ukrainian?
Everybody knows about natural gas, because he's a lawyer.
I think they're prosecuting him on the dumbest little shit that is not gonna. He's not gonna do jail time, but it is to say, hey, we're doing something to the other side. Yeah, you're ignoring all the big shit where it's complete opposite with Trump. There is no big shit, so you're going after any tiny little thing. Like, if you had something you would have gotten it 9 years ago, it would have been definitive, and we'd be done with this shit.
Yeah.
You're manufacturing stuff now, and everybody knows it.
Even somebody like we were talking about earlier, just coming onto the scene and just trying to say, hold on, what's
especially
going on?
If you've hated Trump for 9 years.
I don't feel like it would take somebody with a huge amount of dedication, or want to, motivation to figure everything out. I feel like you could get a good idea, just off some surface level, and maybe a little research, some very entry level research.
It's saying my ideas can't be challenged. You have to get to a point.
I think it's a culture. I think it's like a cultural war or whatever, because they want to win people over to, we're the side of decency. These people are mean and rude, and grab them by the pussy. Joe Biden would never say that,
right?
Somebody, I saw somebody talking about that because they were asking some lady, they're like, what do you feel about, you'd vote for, and this is before the 2020 election. They're like, you'd vote for somebody? And she's like, yes, I would. I'd rather vote for somebody who said grab by the pussy than somebody who is a pussy. We're all gonna act like men don't. And this is a woman saying this. She's like I know my husband and his friends talk like that, and that's not because my husband's a pig or a bad person. It's because he's a human,
That's a good answer.
And these people try to act like like there's not a it's like a
guys talk a lot of shit.
It's dude, even people
yes.
Especially people, I don't know, but I think that's where that's what the deep, whoever wants to control the outcome, I think that's what they're banking on, is that try to frame themselves as the side of decency,
yes,
we
absolutely.
We want to support everybody.
That's fine. And if you're living in America with the life we have, but if you're going up against other world leaders, who will use any tactic to destroy you, wouldn't you want to put forward a strong face? Even if it's crazy.
Yeah. And
you don't mess with your crazy neighbor.
No. And part of me is like, I know that's the tactic or the strategy that's being applied because of the way that they talk.
But are people tired of being weak though in America? I think we are.
The silent majority. Yeah, I think so.
I think everybody's tired of being weak.
Dude.
Because we are a weak nation.
That dude is an embarrassment, dude.
And you can't blame the government. We as a people are weak. We went along with COVID.
Right.
And I think everybody's embarrassed. And I think everybody is now starting to say, you know what? Maybe I am weak. Maybe I do have it too easy. Maybe we do live better than kings lived for centuries.
That's what I'm banking on. That's what keeps me from just being a cynical, it's all over, it's whatever, because sometimes it's almost like the more information I get, the more I'm like, oh, this is already done for, this if it's not this time, it's next time, it's all in motion. You can't reel it in.
But I think that there's more than one faction of elite.
Yeah.
There is a global. There's like a war on. There's a societal, cultural war going on, a legal war, almost a civil war in the United States.
The way that Joe Biden says like the extreme MAGA Republicans.
He's othering, which is what Hitler did. Yeah, and they called Trump Hitler, and
I'm like, dude, that is the most divisive type of shit you can say.
The great unifier, Biden. He's united the country against him.
Whenever, RFK, what do you think about that guy?
Let's go, Brandon. I love a lot about RFK. I would not want him to be president because he's still very socialist, very government spend. He's got a lot of policies I do not like, but I love that he wants to declassify shit, and he's motivated to.
Oh man,
give the power to the people, baby. I love that he has gone after corporations for, like environmental stuff and health stuff, and he's pretty educated on this shit, and he was good at it. Like he was credibly good at it, and he has a lot of opinions on pharmaceutical companies getting away with shit they shouldn't be getting away with. And he wrote the book, The Real Dr. Fauci, and nobody's come and countered it. Nobody said a word about it. It was all like, this was pretty known shit.
They're gonna sacrifice him, I think.
Oh yeah, they will. But anyway, I guess to answer your question, I love half of him. The other half, I don't want to see president, and I can't stand listening to him speak.
I know it's rough. It is.
What do you think about him?
It's hard. Pretty much the same. I love the way that he just seems like a good dude,
absolutely.
It's like somebody that like I might not agree with half the shit policy wise and stuff. I've heard him defend affirmative action on some levels and stuff, which that's the social the type of stuff that I'm like I could never get behind, but
it's just a divisive
but the way that he's like stood up for the stuff that they're doing against Trump, and like I'm like I feel like that takes I don't think he's trying to earn Republican votes from doing that. I really feel like that's a decency thing. I don't feel like that guy is I know he's a legacy type of dude, but I feel like some of that stuff is like such old money that he's not your bought and paid for guy in a lot of ways that Trump is. He's not beholden, to donors and stuff like like he's not a parrot. He's not that.
I believe that he's
out of the picture. What was the girl?
Nikki.
Oh my god.
She was an embarrassment, but she was basically a female George Bush. Like she'd have got elected pre-Trump era. She gets it. And probably goes on to be president. Trump shook the table. It's like people don't want bought and paid for candidates anymore. But how do you continue this thank God for Elon Musk, right? Like if it weren't for Trump and Elon Musk, in my opinion, like free speech, and we were talking about this earlier, we're willing to consider anything, but the best argument is going to win. Right? So that's why free speech is good, because if you censor one side, then the other side never gets challenged.
No.
Right? But if you let both sides go at it, the best ideas will win.
Right.
So your side will have some, my side will have some, and together we combine these truths, right, and move forward. They want division, right?
Yeah.
You don't want those sides interacting, because you'll find that, hey, you might be right about this. I can learn from you, and you can learn from me. I think both sides can learn from each other. But one side, I hear a lot of conservatives say this, what do I have to learn from them? It's like, well, with that attitude, nothing.
No, man.
I hear it from both sides.
You got if all it does is strengthen your opinion that you already had, then.
Well, that's what I say. If you don't challenge your beliefs, then
at least you know why you believe what you do, not just I believe.
That's the thing.
Maybe you just get proven right. No one's trying to radicalize. No one's trying to change your mind.
Well, if there's a better argument, I want it.
But you should be open to that. Yeah.
I want it because it's going to strengthen my opinion.
Yeah.
And if I'm right, then it validates what I already know, right? So that strengthens my beliefs. And I think a lot of people's beliefs are not based in anything concrete and can easily be challenged, but they don't want to allow that. And I was that way too. I was that way not long ago.
Sure.
It was like October 6th of, even as far as I'd come, I was still like, I'm definitively deciding this. On October 7th. And then over the, you know what I mean? And now after that, it was like, God, I should have known.
Right. Should have. Same. You know, it was just like I saw some, you know, some evil that I knew was evil, and then when I saw that being attacked, I'm like, well, that's got to be good, attacking the evil. You know, I mean, it can't be.
Well, what they did was evil.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
it was horrendous.
Yeah, and I feel like it's, you know,
It was disgusting. Did you watch any of the footage? I couldn't even.
a festival, you know, like where all these people are just like.
I'm not a huge fan of Ben Shapiro now, but at the time when he was covering the attacks, he did something I thought was really brilliant. Is he showed live footage, or not live, but like actual footage from the attacks, and he said, you know, a lot of people probably complain why I'm showing this. Yeah. You need to watch it.
Yeah.
You don't want to because it'll make you uncomfortable, but you need to watch it to see the realities that these people are facing. And I was driving at the time. I was like, that's a really good argument.
Yeah.
And like I pulled over and I watched this footage. He showed like 30 minutes of it. It was the most grotesque thing I'd ever seen in my life. You didn't have that in World War II, where the average American could see battle foot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so far away.
Yeah.
You saw newspaper images, and now we're seeing actual cell phone recordings of beheadings and horrendous stuff we can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, stuff that I knew that a lot of, you know, those people are capable of and have done, you know what I mean? The ISIS stuff, you know, like I saw ISIS beheadings, you know, I watched some of those videos, you know, I know that Islamist extremism is capable of that, you know,
yes.
And I read a bunch of the Quran, you know, and I don't know, you know, what the audience is or whatever, but I don't mind saying that whenever, you know, I was locked up for a little bit. Anyway, I lied whenever I was locked up and said I was Jewish, basically because the Arkansas Department of Corrections, you have to shave your face every day. And I hated doing that. I got razor burned, and so I found some like little loophole. I told them I was Jewish, and so I didn't have to. I got like a whatever pass. But then they also put me in this. I was on a no pork diet, and they made me like, you know, they're like, oh, if you're going in, you're going all the way. And what's hilarious is that so they would like separate us up whenever we get fed. And so they'd put me with all the other no pork diet people, which were all the Muslims. and so we actually, you know, like I was pretty, you know, cool with those guys. But you know, I saw a lot of stuff in the Quran, and there, you know, that it's man, it's not a friendly, it's not a story of Jesus and acceptance, and you know, it's not a good. It gets real shaky, you know, with the with. You know what you're allowed to do in the name of Allah and what you should do, and you know, and like what it's like your responsibility to do, you know, and it's not. It's hard to not think for me, like reading it right there out of the text and having guys who are recently converted who like think it's awesome, you know, like if somebody does this, they deserve to die, you know what I mean? You just like, you have every right to kill them, you know, protect. And I'm like, dude, that's. You know, so I got radicalized like against that, like in, you know, in a pretty like fundamental way, where I was like, I don't really see any good to this, you know, at all. You know, like that, you know, the stuff that Muhammad did, you know, or reportedly did, you know, like all his wives and, you know, the youngest one, you know, a Shia or whatever, being like 9 years old or whatever, you know, like. Because some of these guys in there like see all this crap about, you know, whatever people used to, you know, it shouldn't be an age, and I'm like, dude, this is whatever, you know. And I know that some people, you know, like pick and choose, you know, because there's like less extreme versions, but in my mind, if you're gonna follow it to the T, then you can't exclude the you know, the not pretty parts of it, you know. So
yeah.
So that was just like, it was like so easy for me to, you know, just like it's not a nice religion, you know. It's gonna be a problem on you know, it's on some level it's you can't peacefully coexist.
They are incompatible ideologies.
Perfect. Wow, thank you. Yeah,
and that's what we're up against over there.
Exactly, and you know, it's nothing against like, you know, any other, you know, it's not a anti-human.
They see the other side as evil or in a cult. which is exactly what the left and the right over here is if you're
Gays
still in
for
one of those
Palestine,
parties,
yeah.
I still think you're in a cult. Like,
Yeah.
disassociate yourself from your party because you are not in their best interest.
No.
Their best interest is to stay in power.
Yeah, no.
Like they don't care about us.
It's hard for me to take anybody serious who is like a devout Muslim, because in my mind you're with all this like evil shit, or you're choosing to exclude it, from the whole thing, which is just like, if you're going to be a Christian, then I don't think you can do that and be gay, or be pro that, like, because it's incompatible, like, I don't care if you're a Christian or not, I don't care, but it just seems like you're being a little hypocritical. It's hard for me, to take you serious, basically. It's like I want to respect anybody for what they believe in, but if you're just kind of picking and choosing based off of what accommodates you or what suits you, then that's hard. That's hard for me to take somebody as a real person, and to take you serious and to have a lot of respect for you. I don't see how you can do that, because I don't know.
But then again, it takes all kinds. Like, you can't.
Sure. Yeah.
You can't. I don't know. It's a tricky line, because I think everybody has value, and I think everybody needs to be a little more tolerant.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, they preach tolerance,
Right.
but what they mean is bow down and bend the knee
Exactly.
to whatever we say is you need to bend the knee to.
Yeah, and I'm not saying as a Christian I expect you to be intolerant to gay people. You shouldn't care. You should, like, maybe pity their soul or whatever, if that's how you feel. But I don't think you should be, like, actively trying to, like, stop people or treating people like that differently. I feel like you treat everybody as a human first and foremost. But as what I meant earlier is just it's hard for me to, take anybody serious. But I believe everybody obviously deserves to be.
So you're Christian then?
No. I'd say I'm super agnostic. I have no.
Well, I was just
idea.
curious, because you mentioned, like, Christianity and homosexuality is like being incompatible. Why do you think that?
Well, I guess that's just what I've come to. I couldn't cite a Bible verse.
Yeah.
I was one man art not lay with another, or something like that in there. I know that there's specific text that's now maybe that could be interpreted differently, and I know that stuff's been translated a million times. I'm not trying to speak.
Yeah,
to,
but I mean, the Bible to me, I try to accept the values of, like, being kind to everybody, but I feel like stuff like homosexuality, or I don't know. Yeah. That seems like trivial shit. It's like, I don't care what you do. I don't care who you love.
No, and I definitely don't either. I don't.
Yeah, you don't seem like
really
a guy that would care.
I don't. I don't want to get that clear. I don't give a shit about anything like that. It's just for me to take somebody serious who's like like, if you tell me that you're a Christian, then I would assume that's a big part of your identity. You know what I mean? Because I don't really bring that up with other people. So if that gets, like, made known to me, you're wearing, like, a cross necklace, something like that, that's a big part of you, and it's hard for me to take somebody serious and to invest, like, a lot of time and energy, not invest time and energy, but just to.
So you're saying
give somebody a fair shake if I feel like
you feel like you're wearing an ideology on your sleeve, and that's your identity.
Yeah.
That kind of person frightens me as well.
Big time, And as I get older, it's just like, there's not very many people that I come across that I feel like are just like, who cares what they believe in, but they're just not very.
But then you could say that about the MAGA hat,
not solid.
and that's what.
Of course,
right? So people would judge you if they see.
People fucking suck too,
No, they do, for real. But it's the people who judge you for the MAGA hat. Like, you don't want that, but you're. Yeah. It's easy to do to other people.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we all just need to, like, why can't we all just get along?
For real.
We could solve this right now, dude.
Man.
Some corporation would have us killed, and then hide the secret.
No.
Because it's in nobody's best interest for world peace. I think it would destroy elitism. Everybody would be wealthy. If you shared resources, I don't remember the calculations, but, like, if you like split out the world's resources, like every individual on the planet gets like $175,000 a year,
Right.
or something like that, which is
Yeah.
more than I'm living on. So
Right. No, I
could-
definitely don't believe in the famine mentality. You know, I mean, it's out there, and I don't think that like that we're screwed. But yeah, no, the minute that somebody came up with a good plan, they'd get whacked for sure. That's why they outlawed all the psychedelics, right? They didn't want everybody.
Well, I'm hearing psychedelics have a lot of success treating PTSD
Oh yeah.
patients. I've seen a lot of studies on this. I've read a lot on that.
Yeah.
I don't understand enough about it to really know, but
No, but the stuff that was like, when did all that go down? Like in the 60s?
yeah, they were testing all kinds of shit. Didn't the government create LSD?
No, I think that that was in Switzerland. Alfred Hoffman.
Okay.
Discovered that, but I know that we experimented. That's all. Like not unclassified.
Yeah,
stuff,
right,
the,
yeah.
MK Ultra.
It's well known now, yeah.
And all that, yeah. But I feel like ultimately the reason that they kind of put a kibosh on that stuff wasn't for all of our safety. I think as they got worried about people and with the Vietnam War and everybody kind of like rising up against and unbrainwashed. That this is before the information age though too. So that's whenever you think people are like programmed now. Can you imagine back then? People literally only parroted what they heard on the radio or saw on the TV. They
didn't have options.
Yeah, I feel like, man,
You
guys
couldn't
had it
do
good back then. They could have done more.
I know, man. These slow playing
Yeah,
sons of
like,
bitches waited till now.
If they knew what the internet was going to be, there's no way they'd let the internet become what like that. They would have shut that down. If they knew what
I've
it was
heard
gonna
that they
be.
created the internet as a way to sell the infrastructure to other countries and then be able to backdoor spy on them. And that then eventually they had to roll it. Like, basically, the
Maybe
way
they saw it as an eventuality, yeah. But
Yeah,
wanted
yes.
to get ahead of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But one thing I've come to understand is, like, all the big technologies that get released to the general public are things that the government has had in its hands for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll basically buy up the patent and then either find a way to weaponize it, monetize it, whatever they can do. And then, right, because you don't want... Yeah, you got to be able to control the flow of, and maybe there's a lot of shit behind the scenes that we don't want to know about.
I'm sure.
Technologies or, who knows? We may have fucking transporter beams that can send us to other galaxies. What's all this shit that the government's talking about? They've changed UFO to what is it now?
UAE.
Is it UAE?
Yeah, unidentified UAP.
UAP.
Aerial phenomenon.
Aerial UAP, that's what it is, yeah. Yeah, why are they trying to change? Are they trying to make it sound more credible? Because UFOs kind of conspiracy.
Yeah.
Because we're getting ready to learn some shit? Like, why else would you, like, what's the motivation for changing the way people...
I thought originally that was, I kind of subscribed to that it's a distraction thing, but then now I don't see what the big distraction...
Yeah, what are they distracting you from? People are capable of following multiple stories at once.
Exactly.
No, I felt like it was a loophole for them to get. Something was going on.
You're right. Yeah.
They had to admit to something in order to get funding. I don't know.
Yeah, I like to love that idea a while back because it didn't. I didn't see anything that was supposed to be keep our attention over here. Now look, this is why they're talking about that. I didn't see that, and also it's not like people can't focus on a couple different things. So man, I don't know. That seemed odd that they were just we're gonna declassify some of this.
Yeah,
stuff.
And the only opinion I can get on it is Rogan's. Like, nobody else talks about that kind of shit, and like his opinion's the same as ours. It's like it seems like something's up.
Yeah.
And well, he was one of the first ones on the theory you were talking about, like the distraction theory.
Yeah.
But like you said, there was. What are you distracting us from?
Yeah, and I never got excited. I was like, this isn't. If this is
You
ever
need a
gonna
beer?
be
You
found
good?
out. Yeah, I'll take one more.
Here, I got one here.
Yeah, I never thought that they were gonna give us anything. I was like, I don't know. Anything that they say is like, I feel like it's supposed to be leaked somehow. Anything legit. Like this.
Well, have you heard Bob Lazar's story?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about Bob? So basically,
I
a
want to believe that
rundown.
guy so bad.
If for somebody listening who doesn't know, he worked at Area 51.
Right.
And he was working in a compartmentalized area of an alien spacecraft,
Right.
but the departments weren't allowed to speak to each other.
Exactly. He was like in charge of like reverse engineering some of the technology.
Was it the engine he was on?
I thought it was there was like I think it had to do with the propulsion.
Yeah. But it was something far
because that's
advanced.
what he specialized in. Because that was his background at MIT or whatever.
Yeah. But a lot of compelling evidence to being at the place, like.
Yeah, he can confirm that he did work there. That's
yes.
facts.
That is.
And that he got fired.
What was it? Element 150. What was the element?
Right. Yeah.
Do you remember the number?
That's a fact too. No, I don't remember that.
But they found this element that back then that he knew and named
it
well before it was.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
And if they.
But he describes the craft like pretty in detail. They went after him and his credibility after he left.
That's the biggest. That was the
biggest red flag. Yeah.
It's like, who did this? Who tried to say you never went to this school? But then they pulled up yearbooks and.
But they lied. They lied. They went after him.
Yeah.
And they had to lie because it was really shady.
Yeah.
But he went on Rogan.
Right.
And he did not look like a man lying. But who am I? I'm not a.
Sure.
I mean.
Well, he's like very like reluctant to talk about that stuff. He did like you kind of gotta like twist his arm type of thing because he had like his little guy there who got him onto Rogan. His little. Like
who are the people that like, there's experts that can tell if you're lying or not.
Right.
And it's like, are you an expert or did you just have teenagers? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did you just have children?
Oh, you just looked up and to the left.
Yeah. It's
okay.
Like, do you go to school for that or do you just have kids? Because like I can spot a fucking lie now like I never could before.
Right.
And I'll see adults doing things kids will do when they lie.
Not looking in the eye and stuff like that. So,
certain tells or certain ways they look. It's like poker, right? Somebody got to tell, and it's their downfall.
I've never played with the same amount of people long enough to pick up on stuff like that. I always like to play poker, but yeah.
We started our kids on poker, so they made tells real early because they were just, it was like just developing them, and then I would tell Max when he'd do it. I was like, hey, every time you get a good hand, you pull it, something.
Okay.
It was, I don't remember exactly what it was, and then it was like after that, he's been stone cold. It's like I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Like he went from being easy to play to like, I got no idea.
Right.
One way or the other.
Well,
you need feedback.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully he doesn't get too good at that.
Yeah, no. Guys got to hold each other accountable.
Right.
You got to talk some shit. You have daughters. I don't know. Do girls talk shit to each other?
I do with mine, man. I don't have boys, so it's not like I know how to treat them, differently than anything else. I'd probably treat them the same way I would if I had boys.
But I mean, amongst themselves, like, do they to each other?
Oh yeah. They're pretty vicious.
Are they?
Which is like why I want to, like to each other, with their mom and so, they kind of they go on these like real highs and real low, kind of deals, and I'm trying to be the the middle line, but yeah. They talk a lot of smack. I feel like the smack talk. I don't know. I give them a lot of shit, so they give it right back or whatever. My whole deal is like I'm trying to give them alligator skin, because I know how girls get or whatever. I went to high school and how vicious they can be with each other. I had a girlfriend that her friends were whatever to her, and so keeping that in mind, I try and talk a lot of smack and keep the.
I think it's good.
The alligators.
I think it's good for people.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of eliminated a lot of that, like just in general, like in society.
Well, the whole deal, I'm just like
it makes you tough. It makes you accountable.
That's what I'm trying to prepare them for is society.
Yeah.
I tell them that all the time. I'm like, I'm just trying to get you ready to go out there because you can't reject society. I mean, you can, but you know.
Well, yeah, it's tough.
It's you know you need peers. You know you want that. You know and
Yes. People to hold you
and I
accountable,
want
yeah.
you to be accepted by your peer. You know, I don't
Right.
want you to be somebody that people are like, dude, I can't stand to be around this type of person.
Right.
And
But I also feel like if you're limited in the kind of people you're around, you start building belief systems that aren't ever
you need
challenged.
Your ideas challenged, right?
Yeah,
You
and
know?
that's the value
Yeah.
of making a friend with somebody you disagree with, and then you're able to have conversations about things you disagree with. And a lot of times, one side will go to the other. Sometimes they'll agree to disagree, but you're at least having conversations because you have a vested interest in a friendship.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of family is so shaky because you're only together because you're family, that
Right.
politics shatters a lot of families because it's like, you're not really that important to me. You're not important enough to me
I know.
to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
if we're
that's how it
going
is.
to disagree about this, then this is an opportunity to just distance myself because I didn't like you anyway.
Right. If the only thing we had going was the blood bond, then
This
what
ain't
are we
worth
even
it.
Doing? Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
I feel like that was one thing I took away from the Bible. I always liked, it was like, this is family. I was like, I don't like my family. And Jesus' mom comes to one of his, get-togethers,
Yeah.
and she's like, hey, tell him his mom's here, and he's like, I am with my mothers and brothers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like these
yeah,
people,
yeah.
my buddies are my
Right.
family. Like, your
Sure.
blood doesn't make you anything.
No. And that's that. I've always had a pretty. So my dad's an only child, so I don't have any aunts or uncles or whatever. And his parents were old. Both of my grandparents on his side are dead. And so he actually thinks I should put more emphasis on family because he doesn't have any. So he's feels like whatever.
Yeah.
He's, alone. Maybe that is a little weird, but the other side of my family, when we get together, it's just because there's a blood like relation. They're
Right.
half of them are Jehovah's Witnesses, and the other half are not. And
Oh, that's interesting.
There's not a lot to talk about. You know what I mean? We're not
I had a
getting together.
Jehovah's Witness girl when I was growing up,
Yeah.
and I remember I was just curious, like I didn't understand it, so I was asking her questions, and it made her cry,
Yeah.
and I didn't understand it, but I was like, it was challenging. I'd be like, well, why do you believe this,
Yeah.
right? And she didn't
Yeah.
know enough to answer the questions, and I wasn't being mean, but I was just
Right.
like, I'm trying to understand this.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're awesome. There's
There
some
are a
of
lot
the-
of good people.
There's some of the best people I've
Mormons too. I've got a lot of good
And,
Mormon friends.
I would like to meet a Mormon, and get
I can arrange
get close
that.
enough where I
I
can,
can get close enough
get,
in a contained
so
environment.
that I can not offend and ask.
I gotta tell you a funny story. This was, I don't know, 2005, 6. I was still in college, but me and my buddy had this. We were renting this house up on Weddington, and we were bachelors. I had a giant boa constrictor, and I was at home and like had the boa around my neck, and these Mormons come to the door. And they were wanting to talk, and I was like, I tell you what, I'll talk to you if you'll come in and watch an episode of South Park with me. And they're like, all right. So I show them the Mormon episode.
Oh my goodness.
And they sat there and watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, they watched it. And then I was like, you fulfilled your part of the bargain.
Yeah.
I'll, willing to talk about
Yeah.
whatever you want to talk about. And they
Yeah.
were like, we're going to move on.
Really?
And they they left. And I don't know if that's because I frightened them or they thought I was a lost cause, or because that episode challenged their beliefs.
So I don't think I actually heard Joe Rogan say this. I heard that episode of South Park, the head, the top of the LR whatever what's the
Latter-day Saints.
right? Yeah, I heard that they took out an ad or something with that, or like
Oh, like promoting it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard a similar story.
and but I've also never seen that episode.
Are you?
So,
God damn it, dude.
no. Yeah.
Are you? How old is your oldest?
13.
You need to start watching South Park with that girl.
Dude, that's a good.
Started from
that's a
me
good
and
point.
Max started watching it like fall of last year. We're on season 15. It's really teaching him a lot about because let's see, South Park started when you were, what year were you born?
90.
So you were 90. So you were pretty young when it came out. So I was like 17, but you probably watched it growing up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so but you've grown up with it. It's been around a long time. So you can go back and watch some of those like topical episodes.
Right.
And it's kind of like a diary in a way. It's like this is what was going on at the time.
Because
so
it's
then
all
you can
based
explain
centered around
it to
current
your
events.
kids.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've been teaching Max like current events over the last 25 years through the view of South Park. And they usually present both arguments of things, and they're pretty fair.
Yeah.
I think that's why they're
think
still
so.
on. Is both sides get roasted, and they trust them to be roasted fairly.
Sure. Wow. Yeah. One of the last little bastions of that. It's
You'll
kinda
thank
crazy.
me. Start watching it with her. She's
Yeah.
old enough.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
a good idea. Yeah.
Probably.
No. Dude. That yeah, because we've definitely
You'll
started
cherish
to let
it.
her to me and her cuss with each other or whatever. She
Yeah.
we don't.
Yeah, I think you'll thank me. We've been having a blast watching it because it's been really cool for me to revisit like shit that I remember from the 90s all the way up through today that he'll never know about otherwise. You know?
Yeah.
That's how like he's learning about these things he might. There's another one if you need it.
Oh yeah.
So it's just been really fun. And then we also watch. They do mini commentaries for each episode on the DVDs at least.
Oh, okay.
And so they like tell you like the genesis of the idea and what they were what was going on at the time, and so.
Oh no, that's very cool. Yeah.
So a lot of times it'll be neat because I'll tell them before the episode like, so here's what this was about. Then we'll watch the episode, who'll get the take on it, and then we'll listen to the commentary. And Matt and Trey will say it was based on this, and you know it's what I had said it was. So it's kind of confirmation.
Okay.
And so it's wild because they hit on politics, pop culture,
And
all kinds of stuff.
That's a really good idea.
I'm telling you, dude, it's been one of the most rewarding experiences as a parent and that's a boy or girl, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you can enjoy just good humor and satire, just making fun of humanity. That's what the best shows always do.
And we both know that, like at that age, what we were talking about with our friends at school, it's not like you're exposing your kid to, if they go to public school, something that, that they've never heard of before.
Right.
I want to take you up on that.
And it's not as edgy as it was when it came out. So like in 97, like I was 16, so like I was driving, and Comedy Central, I think we talked about this on a podcast, all it had was like in living color reruns and like really shitty stand-up. Like that's what Comedy Central was in the mid-90s, okay?
Yeah.
South Park comes along, they announce it, and then the right-wing conservative Christian nation tries to basically get it canceled because it was inappropriate for kids and this and that. Well, that drew all this media attention to it. And so I remember reading like, certain faction in a conservative party trying to get this Comedy Central show banned, and I was like, they're trying to get it banned for what?
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, oh, it's crude and it's a bad influence on kids, but it was marketed to adults. Like it was on at night.
Right.
And so I guess they then argued that like move it from 7 to 9, and the South Park creators agreed. They're like, yeah, it needs to be late. Like we agree with you.
Right.
It shouldn't be marketed to kids. So I think that then they started airing at 9, but it drew so much attention to it that like I wanted to see why it should have been banned. So that's why I watched it, just to see. So it was the hype.
Yeah.
Because had there not been the hype, I wouldn't have watched it. And now I've seen every single episode for 27 years. If not on the day it aired, like within the week, right? Like, it's been a part of my life for the majority of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
and
that's
it's
awesome.
the same two guys.
Yeah.
Like The Simpsons have had numerous head writers.
Right.
Family Guy's had a ton of showrunners. Seth MacFarlane, I don't know if he does anything but voices now. I don't know if he even writes, but
right.
Did you watch The Orville?
The Orville, huh?
It was basically Seth MacFarlane doing Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh okay.
It's legit. It's good. I mean, it's like a parody of it, but it's like legit Star Trek storylines, but with comedy. Like, it's smart.
Never got into to Star Trek at all, and I like Seth MacFarlane. I like Family Guy. You know, that was I watched more of that probably than South Park, because
that's probably closer to your generation though, because it was a while after.
But yeah, no, and I like a lot of the stuff that he's done too, like even some of his movie things.
Ted was great. What was that Western he did?
A Thousand Ways to Die.
Yes, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That was a great movie. Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking of when I think of him. I think of that movie, because that's like my favorite thing. I think.
I love Seth MacFarlane. He's got TDS real bad, but like I don't care. You know,
no,
if your entertainment's good,
I've learned to separate those things. You know,
good. You have to, or you will hate everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. For a little while, I kind of let that
bother you,
like ruin some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and
as long as your comedy doesn't suffer from it.
Sure.
If you start injecting it into your art as a message, then you're done with me.
Yeah. No.
Make it funny.
Yeah.
Or
funny is
get
funny,
off the
right?
stage.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's own economy.
But don't preach to me.
You're funny, and that's all that matters.
I'm watching entertainment to get away from this shit. Don't preach at me in my entertainment. I think that's where we've gone wrong.
100%. Yeah, you're right. You won't like anything if you let that.
No, 100%. And I know people like that. Their lives are completely poisoned. They can like 3 people on the planet, and it's like,
mark that one off the
God
list.
help
So
you
now
have
I
to
don't
mark.
watch this. Now I don't. That's how my freaking dad.
But
is.
that's how a lot of people are.
Yeah.
It's like they're down to like Ben Shapiro and Sean Hannity, and it's like, if that's who you're still listening to, then by God, please mark them both off, and let's get moving. I'll teach you some podcasts to listen to.
Oh my gosh.
People still like that suit and tie, reading from a script, paid for by Pfizer kind of news guy.
No, they really do.
But like, they're just a spokesman for a pharmaceutical company. Yeah. They're not they're not doing hard news.
No,
they're giving your opinions. All the primetime people are biased. What do they call it? Color commentary or what? Yeah. It's not news.
Yeah. No, and even at the localized level, have you ever seen that like montage of the this is a threat to our democracy?
Oh God, those are terrifying. Russell Brand plays those a lot.
Oh, I like him a lot.
He gets to be a bit much. His jump cuts.
I don't know.
It's the jump cuts, dude.
I don't watch him a lot or whatever, but I've only seen like big clips of him. And stuff that I'm like really impressed. I'm like somebody who's really challenging the narrative.
Oh, he's credible.
Yeah.
Because who's more credible, the preacher who's never sinned, or the preacher who came to God after being a meth addict, who went to prison and killed somebody, right? And then they were like, "Hey, you know what? I'm still going to better myself." Right. Like, I trust the guy who's been through the shit more than the silver spoon guy.
Right. Yeah. To see somebody like that, like you said, who's been in the throat, man, that's instant credibility to me. Especially not being some. Because I get, the echo chamber stuff. I don't want to.
It's terrible.
I don't want to listen to somebody who they've made a career on this.
You
know what I mean? Like,
I've left a lot of like Tim Pool. You know Tim Pool?
Yeah.
I stopped listening to him because it was just, it wasn't even an echo chamber. It was like whatever he said was the law.
Right.
And you had to agree with Tim or shut the fuck up this episode. He couldn't have his beliefs challenged. Yeah. They were like too strongly formed.
I've seen that happen with him
and I had to stop watching him.
I felt like Ben Shapiro almost in that same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. The Candace Owens thing ruined me of the Daily Wire. There was already the Crowder stuff, which Crowder's such an asshole that you're like kind of rooting for Daily Wire in that one. But I think Crowder was right in hindsight.
Yeah.
The Candace Owens thing, it was October 7th, and then all the you can't criticize Israel in any way.
Yeah.
And then that got me onto looking into AIPAC.
Yeah.
And why they're not registered as a foreign entity, and all that. I mean, it's wild, all the ties. But the Candace Owens thing, she gets fired. It's obvious. Then Andrew Klavan goes on and talks about her being anti-Semitic, which to me is derogatory. And then she tries to...
It seriously is. Yeah,
it really was. This is after a lot of shit the Daily Wire had already done. Not to mention their Jeremy's razors are shit. And I went back to using my $3 bag of razors after getting those. Yeah, but they were trash. But then the Candace Owens thing. So Andrew Klavan goes on and trashes her for being anti-Semitic. Then Ben Shapiro refuses to speak about it on Piers Morgan, except for I'll say this, and goes on to kind of like derogatorily remark about her. And then she tries to debate him. They basically shirk the debate and then put an NDA clause on her. And now there's 3 sides to every story, and Candace has not been able to speak.
Right.
But the Daily Wire has been.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's fair.
That's
And it makes them look like fucking bullies.
It stinks, yeah.
They look like
it
fucking
freaking
assholes,
stinks,
and
yeah.
I hope they're losing subs, except they make you pay a year at a time.
Yeah.
So I canceled in anger after that, and I was
Yeah.
like, you've still got 7 months left on your Daily Wire subscription. It's like, fuck it, well, I'll stick it to you then.
Yeah. Man, I hate that. And it does seem like, people get a little too echo chamber type stuff.
Yeah.
They get used to not having their beliefs challenged.
But do we need to weed those people out? The Daily Wires, the posers, or are they doing a net positive? It's like, should we be so tribal as to say,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
can fraction your own side, and like I said, I think it's a uniparty. I think it really needs to be a side of the truth. So from that perspective, is Ben Shapiro pushing the truth, or is he a hypocrite like everyone else and just needs to be rejected?
Yeah, I would like to think that people can see that, and and not just see like a split faction or whatever, and everyone quarreling amongst themselves and not being unified or whatever. I can see that as being not a good look to sway somebody who's maybe more undecided or doesn't know which way to look, who's maybe starting to question the official narrative. It does that type of stuff doesn't look good. That sucks. And ultimately, I don't feel like the Ben Shapiro deal is a net positive. I feel like you're like it
was at one point. He brought a lot of attention. He was
really
so
did.
cool and smooth and slick, and he could destroy people in debates.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I think it was Andrew Schultz that made the comment, like, Ben Shapiro doesn't impress me because he's always smashing on college kids who don't know shit. He's like, he won't ever
like
take
a
a
Crowder
real
deal,
debate, or he'll
you know,
debate
you know.
Piers Morgan,
Yeah.
who is not the intellectual elite he
yeah.
thinks he is.
That's a really good point from Schultz.
Schultz has some good takes.
He really does. I need to get back into Flagrant 2 more. I don't know why I started to kind of fizzle out there.
Well, I think it's his guests.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want to hear from them. Like, I think he's got too many cooks in the kitchen.
I think it was the Alex Media guy or whatever on there. Like, he was starting to like rub me the wrong way with some of his stuff. Like, who are some like Alex Jones, when they had him on. I was probably on a roll watching Flagrant 2 for a while, and then they had Alex Jones on it, and the way that dude like spoke out like against it and tried to like I don't know.
One of the guests or one of his buddies?
Yeah, one of it. Yeah.
Was it Akash Singh?
Yeah, it's one of the no. So it's him and Akash, and then there's their other little guys off to the side, and it's not the Mark Gagnon. I like that guy. The
long hair dude.
Yeah.
He's all right. He's all right.
I like him. I think he's pretty funny. It's the other. It's the black dude who's like more like a tech kind of guy or whatever. Just that. I don't know. I think that's why I kind of. But no. Schultz really has impressed me with the type of guests that he's brought on, and the like how deep he kind of gets on some subjects, but also keeping it very fun and lighthearted, but still having
his takes are really, and that's why I almost exclusively listen to comedians now on politics.
Right.
Jimmy Dore, Tim Dillon.
I love Jimmy Dore.
Jimmy Dore, yeah, it's a litmus test too, almost.
Dude, yeah.
Because he's what Bill Maher should have been.
Exactly. Dude, that's the guy who keeps me from it's like people like him that keep me from feeling like I'm too red pill or whatever.
Right.
Somebody like that who I've never
I listen to more people on the left than I do the right.
Yeah.
Because they're more credible to me.
Yeah.
And I know Republicans are like, fuck Nikki Haley.
Right.
And it's like, why? I don't like her. She was a Democrat.
Right.
It's like, hold on. So there's no redemption path?
Yeah.
isn't that a more credible person
Right.
versus somebody who's been a Republican?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather somebody say, hey, I really know why my side is wrong, and I understand. Sure. Like, I've come to realize this based on, because you always see it going one way.
Right.
You never see people on the right fling to the left.
No.
Never seen it.
No. Ever.
And there's that great quote, and I'm going to fuck it up, and I don't even know who it's attributed to. I think it's usually Churchill, but it's not. It's like if you're young and you're a Republican, you have no heart, and if you're old and you're a Democrat, you have no brain.
Yeah.
Something to that
Basically,
effect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's all fun.
When you're
like,
young, you're a Democrat, you know,
Yeah.
because you have.
Well, you're kind.
Exactly.
You don't have anything to be responsible for. So it's like, why can't we have all your shit, and then everybody will be happy? And it's like, well, listen, if you give some people something, they'll squander it and.
I'm
use
poor
it
because he's rich, you know that.
Right,
that kind of thing, and I hate that, and that's the type of stuff.
But that's a youth mentality.
Yeah.
But you don't have kids.
Right.
You're not paying taxes, right? Like you're living a lot of these kids are rich that have these opinions.
Yeah. My dad used to tell me this like little like joke story. They like that there's these people like they've got this. It's like a little family with a daughter, and like they have like a neighbor. And they have him over for dinner, and they ask him, or he says, ask him if he's a Democrat or a Republican or something. He says he's a Republican. They ask him why, and he says, well, here, let me ask you this. How about you come mow my yard for me, and instead of paying you, we'll go take it down and give it to one of these homeless people. And she's like, well, why don't you just go have the homeless person come and mow your yard? He's like, well, welcome to the...
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, I mean, that's a super rudimentary way, but that's like my initial,
But the Republican Party is weak, can't adapt, and deserves to die.
Sure.
And I think it's dying.
Yeah. Oh.
It's getting bought out by MAGA. It's what their biggest fear was, and now Laura Trump is the chair of the RNC. You want to talk about some mafioso shit?
I know.
I'm going to put my daughter-in-law at the head of the RNC.
She'll be the best.
She's great. She's wonderful. Maybe the best.
Whenever Shane does Trump, dude, that's
dude.
That oh my gosh, you know that he does it so good that he can't do it too much because the economy of it, because that's all people will ever want. He'll turn into that. Have you seen that the Dr. Phil guy? That like that's his shtick is he's Dr. Phil. That's his character.
No.
You're kidding me.
Oh
my gosh.
That's why we need a producer. We watch it. Okay, but
he's a legit comedian. I think his name's Terry something.
All right.
But dude, he shaves this part of his head, still has the hair. He's
right. He's got the Picard ring going.
Oh,
that's funny.
To where like I'm worried about this dude's like psyche.
But like, what else do you have though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Shane is a brilliant comedian.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I don't. That's what I'm like. I don't want him to. If he did, he'd turn into
something
I see. Like he'd
I get what you're saying.
So
don't
like,
fucking
no.
Keep that on the DL. But you got an ace in your sleeve when you need it.
Exactly. Oh my god.
The Trump Hitler sketch might be the funniest sketch I've ever seen.
Holy cow! Oh my gosh.
Because it was a roast on Trump,
dude. Yeah.
But it was also a roast on the people demonizing Trump. Like it hit both sides.
Yeah, dude, yeah. That's the real genius to the.
And it wasn't never on the show. It was hard to find.
Yeah.
Probably because of fear of backlash. Fear.
Right.
That's why he got fired. Was fear.
Yeah.
And they missed out, man. Saturday Night Live could have had a resurgence if he was on there, and they missed out, and he got famous without him.
Yeah. Man, I didn't want. I thought at the time I was like, don't do it. You know what I mean? Fuck them. They fucked you. Don't do that.
No, it gives you an audience, bro.
Yeah. No. It was that was the right move. That was the right move. Even all the people tried to say that he bombed his freaking monologue or whatever in the opening.
No, it wasn't a bomb.
It wasn't.
That was exactly how he wanted it to go.
It was a bomb because he said he was bombing while he was doing it.
Well, that's part of his shtick.
Exactly, but people who aren't
because he bombs so often.
Know shit are like he bombed. He even said he bombed. Like you don't know shit.
But the people who there's a comedy civil war going on right now. There's the old guard who's still like Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and it's like okay, so you don't think they're just paid propaganda pieces? Like you think that's legit comedy? Like these guys have writers, They have sponsors. They're controlled, and they're not funny.
I know.
The Rogan guys, if you want to call them that,
Yeah.
like the guy, and thank God he's got the platform to keep. That guy saved us in a lot of ways. He broke narratives and he brought comedy back.
All the
Just by
comedians that were
staying
on the
above
roast,
water.
You know, the Tom Brady roast. You know that like does. And I even saw there were even like, you know, and who these people are nothing that are, you know, that I see this shit on Twitter, but I do see a lot of shit on Twitter. The people are like, every comedian that was a Rogan comedian on the roast, they all suck, you know. And I wasn't super impressed with Bert and Tom.
Bert and Tom fucking blew it. That was awful.
It was so bad. It was weird. They're trying to like just like play off of like.
But it was fun to
the
watch.
Projector kind of deal. It was like,
But it was fun to watch because it wasn't edited.
Right.
Well, I did edit like the Kim Kardashian getting booed and stuff, but for the most part, like it felt like a live event, like the good and the bad.
The good and the bad.
Because
which makes
used
it
to in the
feel real.
roast, they'd
Yeah,
cut
exactly,
shit out, like because it had to be 45 minutes. Like you felt like we were talking about earlier, Gronkowski going up there and having a negative energy.
Yeah.
It made you feel uneasy.
Yeah. Kevin Hart having to roast him a little bit for like, dude, how drunk are you breaking shit up here? I like Kevin Hart.
But did you notice as awkward as it got between Belichick and Kraft? Like Belichick never looked him in the eye. Like it was really weird. And then after Peyton Manning got done speaking, Bill Belichick runs around the stands like in a full sprint to catch him before he gets off stage to shake his hand. And I was like, that's fucking respect. Because Belichick doesn't run after anybody.
Yeah, I was like reading some like little behind the scenes stuff apparently about that, and that they didn't really want to do the Belichick and Kraft did not want to do, you know, they both like kind of.
But at least Robert Kraft was a good sport about it.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's fake, like. Okay, here's a good example. Like, do you want the truth or do you want the bullshit?
Right.
Because it's nicer to think Robert Kraft.
What people want, you know, like, come on, dude.
But I'm kind of Team Belichick. Like, you fucked me.
Oh.
And I'm not even like I won you 6 Super Bowls, and you're gonna let me go after a bad season. Like, come on, bro. Like, that should buy you 10 more seasons.
Who was it? It was Ross. He said that.
Jeff Ross
said that joke that Brady was like, "Hey, don't, no more of that. Stop it."
Was Brady joking or not?
I don't think he was joking.
Hinchcliffe said he didn't. Didn't Hinchcliffe say he didn't think it was a joke? Like
Hinchcliffe said it wasn't a joke. That everything that I read that wasn't a joke on Brady's part.
Because Brady said, "Don't say that again."
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, don't fucking." I think he said, "Don't fucking say that again," or don't. I'm pretty sure he
wasn't that the joke where he said he sucked Robert Kraft's dick or something like that?
Yeah, or it was something about a massage, I think. It was a joke about the Kraft getting the little happy ending shit.
That was weird though. But like, see, that was a negative energy, and then you needed the comedy to clear the room because it was like so many people hated each other in that room.
Yeah,
I didn't know Edelman was Jewish until that went down.
Me neither. No, I didn't know that either.
And then was it him? He was the one that made the joke. Julian Edelman's the kind of Jew that makes you go, "Oh, he's Jewish." Yeah. Jeff Ross is the kind of Jew that makes you want to join Hamas.
Oh.
I thought that was the funniest joke of the night because it was like right in the middle of the fucking Israel-Gaza shit. Like, it was right in the middle of college protests. Yeah. Oh, so it was like really heated. Did you hear Shane Gillis talk about how he didn't, I think he turned it down, the roast, or he said he was glad he didn't do it, which made me believe that he got offered to do it. Oh, but he said he just couldn't be mean to people.
Yeah, that's not his
I think he said that on his podcast.
He's too like nice of a guy or whatever. That's not his shtick. He's not a
he's not a roaster.
No, he's not a roaster. No. He's not a cutthroat.
No, he's not. And I think that's why he's so likable. It's like he's not a mean comedian.
Yeah, he's a more self-deprecating guy. He talks shit about himself. I like that type of comedy. That's probably about my favorite. Because you can. It's fun. It's great watching Tony rip people. I love.
Have you ever seen any of his videos ripping hecklers?
Oh yeah.
God, dude, he tears these people up. They want to hurt him.
Oh my goodness. And I love that. Oh my goodness, I can't stand that shit.
My buddy Sean Leach, he used to be our neighbor when Julie and I first got married. He lives in Austin now, and he works for the news, so he's up and down, downtown. And he was sending me pictures of the mothership when it was opening.
Oh, cool.
And then one night he sends me this pic, and it's just of a dude standing and talking to people under. You can see it's a neon light, and it was like I had to look at it. It was Tony Hinchcliffe just hanging outside the front door of the mothership, like just hanging out on the street, man.
That's cool.
I was like, that's wild.
That is wild.
Because it's happening in Austin right now. Like,
yeah.
That is the cultural center of the world.
Big time, dude.
It really is. Like, it's a bunch of cool fucking liberals down there, from what I understand.
Yeah, no, because it's like the perfect like balance. You know what I mean? It's like
Was it Rogan who said it's a liberal city surrounded by guns
in a red state? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's like that's what we're talking.
Yeah,
about.
that's a balance. Yeah,
it's like
you take the cities, we'll take everything else.
Yeah, you gotta be. Yeah.
We'll take the resources.
Exactly. Exactly. We'll make sure you don't get out of control.
Damn right.
No, man. I would really like to go out there. I've never been to Austin.
I haven't either. Maybe we'll do a trip, man. I got a buddy to stay. Well, my buddy Sean lives down there.
Like South by Southwest, or that'd be cool. You don't know?
Yeah, that'd be wild. I'd like to go with Max, man. He's my comedy buddy.
Yeah.
That was one thing that was great. Sharing with him too as he got older was just comedy shit.
Yeah.
Because he's been homeschooled, It's like I want him to understand humor and like
that's a whole nother set of
responsibilities. So it's like I need to compensate
Yeah.
for not being around other kids and ripping and roasting. So like I've always tried to fill that role and show him other, like Chappelle's show is what we started with.
Yeah.
Like that's a good opener.
Man, dude.
Yeah, that's one of the best.
That's really.
And I've also had the time and experience to be able to filter down to the best shit. I'm like, I can condense 20 years in like 2.
Yeah.
It's like,
Dude,
here's the
you
culturally
can be
relevant.
efficient.
Yeah. Like, boil it down. And once you know your kid well enough, you're going to know what they like.
Yeah.
And then you can narrow down the search. And then here are the movies we need to watch. And then you never steer them wrong.
Right.
Right? So it's like, once you know them, and then you get to experience it with them again, and like while you're thinking of like there's you watch movies with your girls, probably you've seen a million times or you've introduced them to stuff.
Oh yeah. Right. Probably every Adam Sandler movie that there is,
yeah, you're Adam Sandler generation, aren't you?
Yeah. That's where we started because so my oldest, she spends half the time with her mom. So it's a split deal. It's 50-50. She's a week with me, she's a week with the mom, and it's been like that since day one. We weren't dating when she got pregnant, so luckily there wasn't some sort of shaky, hurt feelings and stuff to deal with. So I'm really fortunate there. And
awesome.
But her mom is all over the board, with the a lot of the stuff that she lets her do, I'm like, what the fuck? With the makeup and the superficial, name brand type shit. I'm like, this is the stuff, we really want, like to put. But then on the other end, she'll go crazy conservative on the, I don't, that she was in this, like, Springdale has this, like, alternative school or whatever it's called, SOI, School of Innovation.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like,
yeah, it's awesome.
She went there for a year. They had like
that's a great school.
I put her in debate class, in 6th grade.
I know a lot of kids that go there.
Class.
It
was cool shit. It was
fantastic.
But apparently, it does attract a bunch of the outcast type of kids or whatever. Your gothic type, whatever. That's what it was whenever I was in school, or
some of those kids are smart.
Different, yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with them. But her mom was.
That's why they're rejecting society.
Her mom was like, I don't want to go in here with all these freaks here. And I was like, well, dude, she can, I'm not scared. Someone's gonna convince her to wear all black and dye her hair red, because she's going to school there, or blue, or whatever.
Yeah, but reverse it, like make it a thing you don't like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I thought it was a cool school, but so there's stuff like that just like flies out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like well, what? So why? Mine, if she goes and puts these freaking acrylic nails on stuff, that's the shit that drives me fucking crazy. movies. You know, like that's the stuff.
Is that being a dad though?
Maybe
Is that because you wouldn't be thinking about any of this shit with sons?
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But all that to say is the stuff that I expose her to, I've always got that in the back of my mind. You know, like that. You know, I'm gonna catch hell. You know, for this.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and maybe it's not worth it. And her and Mariah are like finally on a good. You know, so Mariah's like, don't fuck this up. You know,
Don't fuck it up, man.
All right. You know, because they've had some big up and downs and stuff, right? You know,
It's good that you care though.
weird stuff. Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's all. Like
yeah,
to see the level of. You can tell when a dad. It's important to them.
Sure,
like they'll talk about it. You know.
Yeah.
Dads love their not all
Yeah.
dads. Like I know dads that are like they're around somewhere kind of dads. You know.
It sucks.
You know, there's a whole
Yeah.
generation of dads
Yeah.
like that. Like
Because
I feel like we're kind of at the balance of where it's like it's cool to be emotional. It's cool to be close to your kids.
Yeah.
It's cool to
Yeah.
hang out with them.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be friends with them. Like you're still the parent,
Yeah.
but you hope that you can earn their respect
Yeah.
versus your fear
Dude, my kids.
or your apathy.
Especially-
Even worse,
Yeah. Oh god.
apathy's the word. I'd rather them hate me than just not even care if I existed.
Dude. No.
And I think
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think some relationships thrive on that.
Dude, that's
If they didn't hate me, they'd never see me.
Yeah. Yeah. I could never. I couldn't stand that. Man, there. Yeah.
It's a definition of toxic.
Dude, there's.
But it's powerful. Like some people would rather you hate them than not ever think of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't. So shit. Yeah, I think I would prefer. I would prefer that. At least I'm having some sort of influence.
Think
on
about
you
it.
know what I mean?
Yeah, right?
I mean, dude, because that's how what you know.
You might hate me, but you
yeah,
at least think about me.
I saw my dad every other weekend.
Stalker
And-
101.
What's that?
Stalker 101, right?
Oh, dude.
No, you're talking about your dad.
Yeah, no. I only had. He was very like every other weekend, you know, which I can't imagine as a dad, like with joint custody deal, like 4 days out of the month, you know, like dude, that's what can you do with
That's
that?
insane.
And my dad initially like tried to just undo everything that my mom was doing, like you know, because mom was just like, let me do whatever I want. So I grew up hating him, like we're talking about. I'm like, dude,
Right.
this dude is the fun sucker, like,
Right,
Nothing's
yeah.
fun, whatever. And then, dude, I turned 23 and a light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my god, I love my dad. And then I like look over at my mom, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Changes your perspective.
What have you been doing to me? Did you fucking
Yeah.
handicap? You know, it's almost to a non-healthy way. You know, I think we're good now. After, you know, that's
Well,
been-
you also have to let go of your anger because I was in years of anger toward
Yeah.
other people did this to me,
Yeah,
and
oh, man,
by
yeah.
God, I'm going to
Oh,
make them see
dude.
that I'm right. And then at some point, when you lose enough people, you realize I can either make this work or I can quit.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
And if I'm going to make it work, here's how I do it.
yeah,
You know, some relationships are important enough to do that.
yeah.
You know, it all comes down to how much you care about a person. But
Yeah,
Like-
it took me a while to let go, you know, to let go of the resentments I have because I was like, do you stop me?
But it doesn't help you any.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
all it
at
does is
all.
hold you
No,
back because you're
no.
blame. Unless you let go of the blame, you can never move forward.
Yeah.
Because like I would use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
Because of this, I can't accomplish this,
Oh yeah.
which is a fucking lie.
Oh yeah.
But you know, unless that's
Yeah.
I hear that shit on Rogan all the time. You've got doctors and psychologists, people like Jordan B. Peterson, and you know, and these aren't religious. Well, Jordan B. Peter's kind of religious, but like his psychology is sound, right? Like it talks about a man has to have a monster to fight,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
You need something to push you, to drive you. You need a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't have a
Oh.
purpose, you just
Yeah.
can wither up and
No,
die.
I love that guy. And is he religious? I know he cites the Bible all the time, but
Jordan B.
I always-
Peterson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's pretty religious. Yeah,
I've always thought that I viewed
yeah, he's a Christian.
I viewed the Bible like the same way that he did, which was just like this is an extremely important set of like rules and lessons that helped us evolve, into a peaceful type of civil, instead of like warring, whatever. Like, hey, if we can agree on these basic, and all of our laws are
he
based
has
on
some good
Judeo-Christian
arguments.
stuff, and
One of them was like, live your life like there is a God.
right.
Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there
Yeah.
is somebody
Yeah.
to answer
Yeah.
to. And that is a good, whether there is or not, you should be
Yeah.
kind. And that's why I've found with the Christian argument that, one particular argument, there is the Zionist God or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he'll hold you accountable. I'm like, but even if it doesn't, if it's not real, like the red letters in the Bible, the Christian values are still sound.
Oh,
They're still good.
Dude,
they're still good things.
yeah,
So like,
you
I don't
can't
care if he was resurrected. I don't care if God's going to punish me.
That's exactly. Yeah.
I feel like you should do these things because it's right.
Dude, exactly.
So I don't need threats. I don't need promises.
No.
Can we agree
Yeah.
that we all agree to the message? And if
Dude,
we could just get there,
Yeah.
I think that's half the
Definitely
fight.
got to credit for him for me getting to that point with that. He's the reason why I was able to like go agnostic versus atheist. Dude, I was like, dude, it's all crap. It's all BS. It's whatever. And none of that's real. You really think? But then I remember him specifically like breaking down the story of like Jonah and the whale. Which probably used to be one of my biggest issues, because I grew up listening to like the Bible stories like in my family. I'm like, so this dude, I get older. I'm in my 20s, like, oh, so a guy really got swallowed by a whale and lived in there. Like, this is
Like
real.
in Pinocchio.
Dude, literally. Literally.
That scene was awesome, though.
No, that was
sick.
I don't think Jonah started a fire in there. But whenever George Peterson, I heard him like probably on a Joe Rogan podcast, like break that story down, and he was like, sometimes you got to go straight to the thing, like nothing was gonna be right until he went straight at the problem. You can't avoid it. You can't run away from it. You just got to go fucking right at it,
or adapt to it.
And the metaphor, the stuff that was there, I was like, there's a fucking huge lesson there.
Yes,
it's not just.
It's
this
not a
guy got
literal.
Swallowed by a whale.
It's not a literal.
Out,
yeah.
I'm like, that's what it is.
These
That's
people
what
were
this
speaking
is.
in metaphor.
That's what this is, dude.
But some people take it literally.
Dude, yeah, and that's what I used to be hung up on. Like, an idiot,
Yeah.
Like, fake,
But the people who believe that will fight you to the death over it.
Oh.
They won't let their belief go either.
Yeah, no.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. People have to be willing to reconsider their ideas.
Exactly,
If it doesn't matter if you're right or you might be right, but at least listen to someone so you can prove them wrong.
I went from like throw all this crap out to I was like, oh my god, this is really important. Whether you believe it all, like,
it's very interesting. We have a very similar journey.
This is super important, and my kids know that, and and I think Mariah knows that. I'm not trying to turn them into Orthodox Christian whatever but just like this stuff's important.
Right wing radicals.
That it's been around forever, and we're not chunking it all out.
Yeah, no, my wife's just sick of the politics in general. She's like, it decreases her life experience, I think. Yeah. But she didn't want to know. Like, she just is so sick of it all, and I get it.
No,
I get that perspective. It's like, I can't change it, so, I don't want to know the extra negativity, and I totally understand that. Yeah. Where it's like, by God, I want to know, and I want to know what I need to do about it.
Right.
I want to be informed, and maybe that's my job as a husband, is to stay informed and fucking at least know what's going on.
When you see the cycles, so history repeats itself. This stuff is.
It's not
this
just.
Stuff has probably happened. People in the grave or whatever, like rolling their eyes, like this has happened 100 times.
We are in end stage civilization right now. This is what happens to every single. It is. It's scary how similar it is.
I know.
Obsessed
People
with
have too
gender
much time to sit around and fucking.
Yes, you're so rich. You start talking about how do we give this money away.
We need to create more problems. We already solved all the big stuff, Yes. What do we have to fuck around with?
Yes. And did you watch Squid Game?
Squid Man?
Squid Game.
Oh, Squid Game. No.
Oh, fuck, dude. That's your homework assignment for next time. Watch Squid Game.
All right.
I don't want to spoil it. No, I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay, don't
Because there's a
spoil it.
lesson. I want to talk to you about the finale.
Yeah.
So watch that. We'll wrap this shit up. We've been going a long time, brother.
Good, dude.
Thank you.
Dude, come on.
That was fun, man.
Super fun.
We'll do it
It
again.
is
We'll do it again.
Hell yeah.